Chapter 1023 Two Little Guys? Requesting Monthly Pass, Lin Yuan's Internal Universe. Even though it houses countless citizens of human civilization and numerous alien lives, vast regions still remain unoccupied. Lin Yuan's internal universe is built upon the foundation of the 13th tier inheritance, Infinite Void. Its profound and unimaginable depth ensures that, as long as space is sufficient, it can accommodate nearly anything. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Dozens of 12-tier beings appeared in a corner, expressions of ecstatic joy on their faces. The galaxy's strongest? The galaxy's strongest is willing to protect me? The galaxy's strongest is merciful. I finally have hope to survive this great collapse disaster. If I can stay alive, surrendering completely to the galaxy's strongest is hardly worth fretting over. Upon realizing that they had been absorbed into Lin Yuan's internal universe, all the 12-tier beings were initially overwhelmed with joy. They had encountered the edges of the great collapse and understood its horrors, fully certain that surviving it on their own was simply impossible. In such dire circumstances, death was almost an inevitability. Unable to endure the great collapse, they would be forced to remain within the universe, ultimately perishing along with its complete destruction. This is the fate of all 12-tier beings unable to overcome the great collapse. But now, the galaxy's strongest has chosen to bring them into his internal universe. Search *the novel fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. With the protection of the galaxy's strongest, their hopes of surviving the great collapse had soared exponentially. However, as the multitude of 12-tier beings took in their surroundings, they froze in astonishment. You came in too? The galaxy's strongest is willing to protect you as well? Is everyone here? The 12-tier beings were bewildered. To their shock, the strongest of all 12-tier beings in the universe, aside from human civilization, had been absorbed into the galaxy's strongest's internal universe. Realizing this, many of the 12-tier beings could no longer summon the joy they had felt. With a quick calculation, they determined that Lin Yuan's internal universe currently housed around 80 12-tier beings, coupled with countless citizens of human civilization, and a multitude of aliens who had completely sold themselves to human civilization. On top of that, many 12-tier beings had vast numbers of lives within their own internal universes as well. This meant that, single-handedly, the galaxy's strongest had absorbed all the life within this universe, including the 12-tier beings, into his internal universe, and now intended to survive the great collapse with them. The 12-tier beings were in shock, facing the great collapse with so many lives in tow. What unimaginable catastrophe awaited? The 12-tier beings could neither imagine nor dare to speculate. During the great collapse of the universe, under normal circumstances, all lives would perish along with the destruction, becoming the driving force for the emergence of the next cosmic era. The 12-tier beings are an exception. They possess a narrow chance of survival. If they can endure the great collapse, they can live on. Yet this chance is relative. The more lives a 12-tier being carries, the slimmer their odds of survival. Now, the galaxy's strongest is carrying the entirety of the universe's life. How could the origin source possibly tolerate this? With countless lives lost as the driving force, after the universe's great collapse, the time required to bring forth the next cosmic era would become immeasurably prolonged. Can the galaxy's strongest truly endure the great collapse? I don't know. Carrying so many lives, he may face the universe's full force suppression and backlash. The galaxy's strongest. Is he truly that confident? All the 12-tier beings were tense. Now they were tied to the galaxy's strongest. If he failed to survive the great collapse, they were destined to perish, with no chance of survival. You, Tianyu clan, having fought with human civilization for so many years with enmity as deep as the seas, have the audacity to plead for the galaxy's strongest's protection? A 12-tier being glanced at a few Tianyu clan ultimates, expressing slight dissatisfaction. If the Tianyu clan's ultimates hadn't been taken in, the galaxy's strongest might face less pressure from the great collapse, and the odds of surviving would be greater. And the insect race, didn't you vow eternal enmity with humans? Why have you been taken in as well? Where's your backbone? One after another, the 12-tier beings cast irritated looks at each other, knowing that their survival hung on everything. Enough. No need to argue. At that moment, a Star Alliance ultimate spoke up, sweeping a glance at all the 12-tier beings. Do you truly believe the galaxy's strongest cares about the Great Collapse? At these words, the 12-tier beings froze in place. The Star Alliance ultimate's implication was that the galaxy's strongest did not care about the Great Collapse? Among the 12-tier beings present, none had the methods of the two ultimates from the robber clan to discern Lin Yuan's capabilities clearly, or to assert that he could challenge the Chaos Venerable. Their understanding of the galaxy's strongest was still confined to him being unable to penetrate path-splitting realm peak-level defensive treasures. Under these conditions, they considered the galaxy's strongest to have, at best, mastery realm strength. Yet a mastery realm being, under the universe's origin source's intense suppression, was not much stronger than those at the path-splitting realm. Do you think I'm wrong? The Star Alliance ultimate chuckled and continued, have any of you noticed how the galaxy's strongest's internal universe differs from ours? Difference. One 12-tier being snapped back. In truth, some had already sensed discrepancies upon entering, realizing the galaxy's strongest's internal universe seemed unnaturally stable. However, their focus had been immediately drawn away by the commotion among other 12-tier beings. Now, with the Star Alliance ultimate's reminder, they began carefully observing the surrounding spacetime. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1024 Two Little Guys? Requesting monthly pass. _2 However, upon this observation, the minds of countless 12-tier beings could not help but shudder. The inner cosmos of 12-tier lives operates under rules entirely determined by themselves. Simply put, the cosmos within 12-tier beings can only function based on the rules they have comprehended. But at this moment, in the field of vision of all 12-tier beings, the rules operating within the surrounding spacetime could almost be described as vast as an ocean of smoke, with each rule's depth so unfathomable that no 12-tier being could aspire to reach it. Especially the two foundational pillar rules of time and space, which swept grandly like celestial columns supporting the universe. Even these 12-tier beings, before these two celestial columns, seemed like mere ants. The inner cosmos of the galaxy's strongest entity? All 12-tier beings felt their scalps tingle. They had never seen such an intricate interplay of rules within an inner cosmos. How many rules had been comprehended here? Moreover, besides the infinite rules fueling its support, the 12-tier beings faintly perceived that the fundamental essence of this inner cosmos was heavy and beyond comprehension. Even they would find it challenging to traverse the void across great distances within this cosmos. In the main universe, a mere strike from a 12-tier being could tear open a permanent spatial rift. But here? Forget about a permanent spatial rift. Creating even a single spatial rift required considerable effort from 12-tier beings. The inner cosmos of the galaxy's strongest entity, a 12-tier being's throat felt dry. For some reason, they faintly sensed that this inner cosmos was even vaster than the boundless main universe. Beyond their home cosmos, Blood Dominator and Serpent Monarch, these two mighty sovereigns, stood dumbfounded watching the distant cosmos. More precisely, watching the towering giant stride toward the cosmos edge, undeterred by countless calamities blocking its way. What is this? Blood Dominator trembled all over. The spectacle before them was simply unfathomable. Wasn't it said that life forms within the cosmos could at most reach the peak of the path-splitting realm? What was the meaning of this giant towering heaven and earth? Blood Dominator couldn't ascertain the towering giant's level of power, but one thing was certain, they were far from being its opponent. Not even close. What should we do, my sovereign? What should we do now? Blood Dominator's dozens of subordinates had originally been stationed in strategically arranged zones, simply waiting for the 12-tier lifeforms within the cosmos to escape, to then intercept and suppress them. This was something they had done many times before without much incident. Even in the worst-case scenario of encountering the rare peak path-splitting realm beings seen only once in thousands of cosmic eras, they had ample countermeasures. Everyone was at the peak of the path-splitting realm, and they, who had battled in the chaos void for years, possessed combat experience and lethal tactics far exceeding those of any peak path-splitting realm being within the cosmos. A perfect scenario. But now, that towering giant, they were supposed to make a move against such an existence? The dozens of peak path-splitting realm subordinates trembled with dread, daring not even to entertain the thought of action against it, let alone act. The towering giant's sheer presence was too overwhelming. If not for Blood Dominator's long-standing authority and prestige, these subordinates would have scattered and fled already. What should we do? Blood Dominator steadied himself and immediately transmitted an order: "Retreat, all of you, return to me." CTH Nefire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. At this moment, Blood Dominator's only thought was to stay far away from this place, far away from the towering giant. Understood. Dozens of subordinates, as if receiving a pardon, hurriedly gathered toward Blood Dominator. On the other side, Serpent Monarch also ordered his subordinates to retreat, while he himself hastened to maneuver Suspended Island into swift flight. The calamity of great destruction consists of fire tribulation, thunder tribulation, wind tribulation, and water tribulation. These four calamities do not represent foundational rules, they embody the universe's core forces. Lin Yuan casually stepped forward toward the universe's edge. But these calamities are rather ordinary. Over 300 years, Lin Yuan had leveraged the endless resources continually delivered from ancient Ming's Chaos Continent to cultivate the Xianhuang physique to the 12th-tier sovereign realm. In terms of physical strength and vitality, Lin Yuan was already remarkably close to Chaos Venerable. Coupled with an inner cosmos comparable to that of a Chaos Venerable, numerous innate divine skills, and various techniques, not to mention the universe's origin consciousness, which mastered power somewhat rigidly, even a true Chaos Venerable would struggle to obstruct Lin Yuan. In an all-out battle, Lin Yuan might not be a match for a Chaos Venerable, but neither could they hold him down. If Lin Yuan could step into the sovereign realm and achieve another qualitative leap in his essence of life, he might even suppress ordinary Chaos Venerables. If he managed to cultivate the infinite void to the second layer, his comprehensive combat strength could approach that of a Chaos Great Saint. Swoosh! Lin Yuan's final step landed, entirely escaping the obstruction of the universe's origin consciousness. Freedom! An inexplicable thought surfaced in Lin Yuan's heart. Within the cosmos, protected by the universe, even when transforming into its explorer, there remained a sense of constraint. Now that he had completely broken free from the cosmos, a sense of liberation surged within him. Lin Yuan turned around, casting a glance at the nearby universe. Because Lin Yuan had timed his departure precisely to maximize absorption of world-breaking origin force, upon his arrival in the Chaos Void, the universe's great destruction had reached its final stages, with vast starfields obliterated and collapsing. This universe likely requires significant time to open its next cosmic era. Lin Yuan faintly sensed the weakening of the universe's origin. Having lost countless lives and powerful beings as its driving force, after the Great Destruction, the universe's origin consciousness would enter prolonged slumber to accumulate sufficient energy for initiating a new cosmic era. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1025 Two Little Guys? Requesting monthly pass. _3 However, this has no real harm to the universe itself. The universe is nurtured by the Chaos Void and is protected by its rules. Even an unparalleled Great Saint cannot cause actual damage to the universe itself. At most, they can only hasten its entry into the Great Collapse. The Great Collapse of the universe is a catastrophe, an apocalypse for the beings within it. But to the universe itself, it is as simple as taking a nap to rest and recover. It's just that because of Lin Yuan, the length of time the home universe will sleep this time will be a bit longer. Within the home universe, endless destructive forces permeated the void, and a seemingly ordinary wooden hut drifted amidst the chaos. Any single trace of the destructive force was enough to obliterate a Dominator-level being. The combined power of countless destructive forces had already reached the level of the Chaos Realm. Yet all these overwhelming destructive forces were silently neutralized and absorbed the moment they touched the seemingly ordinary wooden hut. Has the Galactic Supreme left? Such immense power, how was such a massive true form cultivated? Could it be that before reincarnation, the Galactic Supreme was an unparalleled great saint adept in corporeal strength? Within the wooden hut, two faint voices conversed. It was the two ultimate entities of the robber clan. Even the most terrifying tribulations of destruction cannot shake the Galactic Supreme, nor even delay him. I even suspect that with his strength, if he forcibly stayed within the universe, he could survive until the next cosmic era. The voices in the wooden hut exchanged words, filled with incredulity. To rely solely on physical flesh and blood to withstand the boundless tribulations of destruction, what kind of concept is this? The universe is about to completely collapse. We must also prepare to enter slumber. After a while of discussion, the two ultimate beings of the robber clan noticed that the surrounding space was becoming increasingly constricted. Indeed, it is time to sleep again. The other ultimate being of the robber clan nodded. They had experienced more than one great collapse and were well acquainted with what would happen next. Who knows when we'll see the Galactic Supreme again? The first being who had spoken let his thoughts wander. He sighed and said, I have a feeling that the next time we hear the name of the Galactic Supreme, it might be when he has become the Galactic Great Saint, shaking the Chaos Void. Shaking the Chaos Void? The other ultimate being of the robber clan agreed. Ordinary Chaos Venerables or even Chaos Great Saints could not achieve such a feat to shake the Chaos Void. Only those unparalleled Great Saints were capable. Sir the Nelfer. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Deep within the universe on the verge of total collapse. Within the Xianxia secret realm, a single incarnation of Lin Yuan sat cross-legged. As the universe approached its destruction, the size of the Xianxia secret realm rapidly shrank, finally maintaining an area of just a few hundred meters around. Before the great collapse of the universe commenced, Lin Yuan had purposely left an incarnation behind in this Xianxia secret realm as a last resort for preserving his life. The Xianxia secret realm was isolated from the causality of space and time. Even if Lin Yuan's true form perished completely in the chaos void, the incarnation within the secret realm could use the life-preserving methods stored there to resurrect him. Additionally, numerous forbidden treasures were hidden here, such as that single drop of blood of time. So far, Lin Yuan had found no place safer than the Xianxia secret realm. The source world? Its safety was only relative to the powerful figures of the Chaos Void. However, dangers still existed there, such as the feudal lords and kings, or the eternal fierce sun that hung high over the heavens. Placing the treasures in the source world would indeed prevent the powerful entities of the Chaos Void from seizing them. This applied even to 13th-tier temporal beings, but the powerful figures in the source world would not be similarly restricted. The Moyu Tower Master had expended boundless time and effort to hunt down a wondrous temporal entity, refining it to form the blood of time. Even within the source world, this treasure was a supreme artifact of immense value, capable of inciting a bloody struggle among the feudal-level heavenly venerates. Placing the blood of time in the Xianxia secret realm was not only safe but also made it easier for Lin Yuan to retrieve it. All he needed to do was control a creature from within the universe and have it toss the blood of time into the eternal spatial rift. The blood of time was not a living entity and therefore faced no restrictions upon leaving the universe. After today, I will no longer have the concept of a home universe. Lin Yuan's true form stood outside the universe, quietly watching as his home universe traversed its final journey. World-breaking origin force. Lin Yuan briefly sensed the accumulation of world-breaking origin force during the universe's great collapse, and a smile appeared on his face. 1,436,812 strands of world-breaking origin force. This was the total amount Lin Yuan had accumulated from the beginning of the Great Collapse until he entered the Chaos Void. So much, Lin Yuan felt a burst of joy. With such a vast reserve of world-breaking origin force, he felt a deep sense of confidence. At least in his future usage, there would no longer be a need to scrape by or endlessly deliberate. When he first descended into the source world, Lin Yuan had carefully weighed the option of spending a mere 100 strands of world-breaking origin force to save the original Yu Yen. If it were now, there would be no need for such hesitation. From what I see now, remaining outside the universe doesn't allow me to absorb the world-breaking origin force emanating from its collapse? Lin Yuan pondered internally. Until he had exited the universe, the world-breaking origin force had continued to accumulate rapidly. However, the moment he stepped into the Chaos Void, the accumulation came to an abrupt halt. Bear in mind, the current universe had not yet fully disintegrated. Theoretically, there should still be remnants of world-breaking origin force being released, perhaps in reduced quantities, but not completely vanishing. What a pity! Lin Yuan shook his head slightly. If amassing large amounts of world-breaking origin force required entering a collapsing universe, then replicating such conditions presented significant challenges. Lin Yuan scanned his surroundings, his senses extending outward. He detected two faint auras cautiously rushing away several million light-years in the distance. Two little ones? Lin Yuan gazed at the two cautious presences fleeing far away. One was a massive black ship, the other a suspended island. The black ship and suspended island were vast, spanning millions of miles each, towering and immense. But compared to Lin Yuan in his current state, they truly were no more than tiny specks. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1026, New Home, New Era, end of this volume, request for monthly passes, they're fleeing. Lin Yuan gazed into the distance. The black ship and the suspended island were darting through the void, exuding an air of frantic escape. These insignificant beings, are they plunderers stationed outside the universe? Lin Yuan's thoughts moved with incredible speed, immediately deducing their origins. Guarding outside the universe for no apparent reason, only to panic and flee upon seeing him emerge, what else could they be but plunderers? Return. Lin Yuan's mind stirred slightly, the divine ability world began its operation. In an instant 2 million light-years in radius, centered on Lin Yuan, transformed entirely into an external cosmos. Aboard the black ship, Bloodshade Sovereign only began to relax after they had traveled more than 10 million light-years away. We've survived. A faint smile appeared on Bloodshade Sovereign's face. He glanced behind him, and even at such an extensive distance, he could vaguely see that towering figure. At this range, even if he wanted to pursue, it'd be too late. Bloodshade Sovereign had yet to finish his thought. Suddenly, from every direction, an entirely new space-time descended. In this fleeting moment, Bloodshade Sovereign vaguely heard a voice by his ear. Return. When Bloodshade Sovereign regained consciousness, he was already back within the familiar void, precisely the spot outside the universe had been guarding moments ago. Damn it. Bloodshade Sovereign's spirits instantly sank to rock bottom. He swept his gaze around and shockingly discovered that Serpent Demon Sovereign was likewise nearby. Both sovereign-level powerhouses had escaped in completely opposite directions, only to be transported back nearly simultaneously. Such a feat, Bloodshade Sovereign had only witnessed among certain venerables. Except, a venerable? No matter how inconceivable it seemed, Bloodshade Sovereign couldn't help but associate the towering giant with a chaos venerable, even though this immense figure had emerged from within the universe, a place theoretically capable of producing figures at most peak path-splitting realm. Bloodshade, not far away, Serpent Demon Sovereign's face was etched with fear, clearly realizing something as well. Were the two of you intending to plunder me? Just then, a voice sounded nearby. Serpent Demon Sovereign and Bloodshade Sovereign abruptly looked over, spotting a figure standing not far away. This figure's aura was invisible, leaving the two utterly incapable of detecting it until now. Master! Bloodshade Sovereign immediately reacted and addressed Lin Yuan respectfully. I was merely passing by here, with absolutely no intention of plundering. Me too, Serpent Demon Sovereign quickly added. By now, how could they not understand that the figure nearby was precisely the towering giant who had just emerged from within the universe? In the chaos void, survival is the rule of the strong, and neither Bloodshade Sovereign nor Serpent Demon Sovereign could indulge their doubts and confusion when faced with a being like Lin Yuan, capable of crushing them effortlessly. Respect was instinctive. Passing through. No intention of plundering? S.E. the Novelier. T website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lin Yuan said indifferently, clearly disbelieving their claims. The chaos void was boundless. Two sovereign-level powerhouses conveniently stationed outside a universe on the verge of destruction. Passing through? Look at me. Lin Yuan directed his gaze at Serpent Demon Sovereign and Bloodshade Sovereign. The two sovereigns followed Lin Yuan's voice and looked up, only to meet a pair of incomparably profound eyes, seemingly connecting to an endless abyss. Mind will secret skills, abyssal eye. Bloodshade Sovereign and Serpent Demon Sovereign's minds and wills were struck, beginning to uncontrollably fall into descent. With Lin Yuan's strength, he could have outright pulverized the two sovereigns the moment he activated the divine ability world. But he ultimately chose capture instead and had been aiming precisely for this moment. Using the mind will secret skills, abyssal eye, he drove their minds into descent before seizing the opportunity to initiate soul search on the two sovereigns. This was the simplest method. Direct soul search was far too challenging, as sovereigns were no fools. They'd resist furiously, and even if unsuccessful, they'd unhesitatingly self-detonate their physical forms. They'd then rely on prearranged resurrection techniques to come back to life. To any level of powerhouse, memory was the most sacred realm. Unless utterly desperate, no warrior would willingly allow someone to perform soul search. No. Bloodshade Sovereign's pupils suddenly turned crimson, his physical strength beginning to surge abnormally, managing to narrowly break free from Lin Yuan's suppression and dart madly in the opposite direction. Disrupted my soul search? Lin Yuan inwardly sighed. He was, after all, still a path-splitting realm being. Even though many of his techniques had reached Chaos Realm levels, attempting to perform soul search on a sovereign at peak level? It proved somewhat difficult. Forget it. Lin Yuan opted against continued efforts, instead extending his right hand. Across hundreds of light years, he struck Bloodshade Sovereign remotely. In one slap, Lin Yuan employed the full force of his physical capabilities and the power of his internal cosmos. The might far exceeded peak sovereign levels. Bloodshade Sovereign's body erupted in countless flashes of crimson light, holding out for only an instant before completely shattering, his body and soul extinguished simultaneously. Beside him, Serpent Demon Sovereign had likewise barely regained consciousness, fleeing frantically in the opposite direction. No matter how daunting Lin Yuan might appear, he was unwilling to risk soul search. The ability to perform soul search meant memories could be altered or tampered with, a fearsome technique every powerhouse remained deeply wary of. Lin Yuan struck again, and Serpent Demon Sovereign's body and soul likewise began to dissipate. The bodies and souls of both sovereigns dissolved over several breaths, transforming into the purest origin power, which Lin Yuan condensed and stored away. Master, spare us. From the black ship and the suspended island came cries for mercy, Bloodshade Sovereigns and Serpent Demon Sovereigns subordinates pleading desperately. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1027 New Homeland, New Era. End of this volume. Asking for monthly pass? _2-inch spare you. Lin Yuan shook his head slightly. These subordinates, who followed the two lords, were stationed outside the cosmos intending to plunder. Since they wanted to rob others, they naturally had to be prepared for being robbed themselves. Because Lin Yuan's own strength was formidable, Bloodshade Lord and Serpent Demon Lord fled without a second thought, looking seemingly innocent. But what if Lin Yuan had been merely an ordinary 12th-layer path-splitting realm cultivator? After painstaking efforts to barely survive the catastrophic collapse of the universe, one might have believed that a bright future awaited, only to be met with cruel plunderers. At that time, would these plunderers have had any shred of compassion for Lin Yuan? Lin Yuan's gaze swept across, utilizing the mind-will's secret skill, Abyssal Eye. Soul-searching Lord Realm experts proved somewhat difficult, but searching the souls of these path-splitting realm beings was relatively simple. Bloodshade Lord? Serpent Demon Lord? Lin Yuan immediately obtained intelligence on these two lords, a pair of notorious, domineering overlords. Despite their poor reputations, their strength was unfathomable. Even the Serpent Demon Lord possessed power nearing the peak of lordship. These treasures, after eliminating the numerous subordinates of the two lords, Lin Yuan began inventorying the loot. What he discovered slightly surprised him. The spoils of the two lords were overwhelming. Bloodshade Lord possessed two treasures from the Chaos Realm, one offensive and one defensive, along with other rare treasures. The total value exceeded 600,000 Chaos Stones. As for the Serpent Demon Lord, he too carried two Chaos Realm treasures, though his other valuables and curiosities were slightly less impressive. Altogether, they were worth about 500,000 Chaos Stones. In total, the two Lord Realm experts had contributed treasures worth over 1,000,000 Chaos Stones. They were truly wealthy. Lin Yuan sighed slightly. Even a peak Lord Realm expert like Zhang Weiyang only had total assets worth around 300 to 400,000 Chaos Stones. Indeed, plundering is the simplest way to acquire resources, Lin Yuan thought to himself. Bloodshade Lord was a notorious raider, having pillaged numerous cosmoses before settling at his home cosmos. Coupled with his earlier accumulations, his wealth naturally surpassed that of Zhang Weiyang. The Serpent Demon Lord, though weaker, had also amassed riches through similar plundering methods, surpassing Zhang Weiyang in accumulated wealth. Resources for the perfected 12th-layer Lord Realm Xianxia physique are nearly complete. After a brief calculation, Lin Yuan determined that the combined resources of the two lords, over 1,000,000 Chaos Stones, added to his existing holdings, were sufficient to cultivate the Xianxia physique secret technique to its perfected Lord Realm. With Xianxia physique reaching the perfected Lord Realm, Lin Yuan's physical strength would surge dramatically again, making the power behind his every movement even more terrifying. Moreover, the physical body nurtures the soul and the mind's will. Strengthening the body would greatly benefit the soul and mind's will. Unknowingly, I have become so powerful? Lin Yuan mused while organizing the spoils, putting away the black warship and floating island. When he first explored the Chaos Void, even stumbling upon the remnants of a dwelling left by Lord Realm expert Zhang Weiyang required extreme caution and vigilance. And now, how much time had passed? The Bloodshade Lord and Serpent Demon Lord, both at nearly the same level as Zhang Weiyang, could be suppressed by Lin Yuan with a mere flick of his hand. The stark contrast between then and now left Lin Yuan filled with emotion. These two lords, along with their peak path-splitting realm subordinates, haven't completely perished? Do they still possess life-saving contingencies? Lin Yuan briefly followed the trail of causal sensing. This was entirely expected. Let alone peak path-splitting realm beings. Even those who had just entered the path-splitting realm could set up life-saving mechanisms. Why were Chaos Venerables notoriously hard to kill? It was because even great saints struggled to obliterate all of a Venerable's life-saving contingencies. Yet, through their profound understanding of causality, Chaos Venerables could effortlessly eliminate all life-saving measures of Lord Realm experts if they so desired. This was precisely why Lord Realm experts felt so fearful and submissive before Venerables. Within a fragment of an asteroid drifting in the Chaos Void, a figure swiftly condensed. It was Bloodshade Lord. In this fragmentary asteroid, he had left a life-saving contingency. Whenever his true body perished, he could resurrect here. I actually died at the hands of a venerable, blood-shade lord's heart sank, chilled to the core. He had no time to ponder why a venerable would emerge from within the universe. I'm going to die. Blood-shade lord was utterly despairing. If a chaos venerable so wished, they could entirely erase all his resurrection mechanisms through causal connections. Thus, when blood-shade lord resurrected, he was already prepared for complete annihilation. Yet, after waiting in hopeless dread for half a day, blood-shade lord discovered he hadn't died. Could it be that the venerable finds me beneath notice? Blood-shade lord heaved a bitter sigh of relief. Erasing a Lord Realm expert's life-saving contingencies through causality was an onerous task, even for Chaos Venerables. Sar the novel understood. At website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If no resentment was involved, Chaos Venerables typically didn't bother. Leave, immediately leave this void. Without hesitation, Blood-shade Lord bolted, flying away from Lin Yuan's position at great speed. The causal link between him and Lin Yuan would blur with increasing distance. To the Blood-shade Lord, he was nothing more than an ant before the Venerable. If the Venerable couldn't see him, they likely wouldn't bother acting. But if the causal proximity were too close, there was no guarantee Lin Yuan wouldn't suddenly decide to eliminate him out of convenience. Thus, to live longer, Blood-shade Lord could only keep away from Lin Yuan. Leave, he'll never again approach this void. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1028 New Homeland, New Era, end of this volume, asking for monthly pass. _3 The blood resonant sovereign's thoughts spread out, filled with both a sense of relief and fear. Chaos void. Lin Yuan gazed quietly at his home universe. As complete annihilation unfolded, the entire universe abruptly collapsed inward, forming a dim gray sphere of energy. This energy sphere appeared fragile to the eye, but it was utterly indestructible in reality, protected by the operational rules of the chaos void. Not even the mightiest great saint could harm it in the slightest. It's time to head to the ancient Ming chaos continent. After bidding farewell to his home universe on its final journey, Lin Yuan turned and left without hesitation. He had long prepared a new home for humanity on the ancient Ming chaos continent. Now, all that was left was to bring them there. Several months later, outside the ancient Ming chaos continent, Lin Yuan's figure appeared. Finally arrived. Lin Yuan looked toward the distant and flourishing chaos continent. The relocation of the ancient Ming chaos continent to this void had, if anything, made trade even more prosperous, attracting numerous powerful beings from surrounding regions. Concealing his aura, Lin Yuan activated the 13th rank inheritance, Infinite Void, the ultimate foundational legacy. The universe within him was unparalleled. With just a single thought, he could suppress all his energy, making it impossible even for a chaos venerable to detect him. So, Lin Yuan entered the star-tier fragment world. Swoosh! With a wave of his right hand, Lin Yuan released 9 supreme beings of humanity from the universe within his body. Where is this? The Xin Yuan Supreme cautiously surveyed the surroundings. Only after spotting Lin Yuan did he relax. Moments ago, they had been in Lin Yuan's internal universe, their anxiety palpable, fearing that their presence might interfere with Lin Yuan's navigation through the cosmic cataclysm. Now that they saw Lin Yuan again, their hearts finally settled. This is the new home of human civilization. Lin Yuan introduced with a smile, addressing the 9 supreme beings. A new home? The new home of human civilization? The Xin Yuan Supreme, the Xiaqin Supreme, and the other 7 looked around with great interest. This place, the 9 supreme beings became increasingly impressed. Though the star-tier fragment world was far smaller than the main universe in size, every corner here was inhabitable. Even if the population of human civilization surged 10-fold or 100-fold, it would still accommodate them. I can sense that this world emanates a particularly gentle energy. The Xiaqin Supreme appeared thoughtful. While this gentle force held little value for those at the 12th Dao realm, and indeed for those at the 9th, 10th, or 11th ranks, it was immensely nourishing for 2nd and 3rd rank ascendants, especially newborn human citizens. Galaxy? This place must not have come cheap, the Xia Qin Supreme cautiously inquired. Over the past centuries, he had discussed the matter of humanity's new home with Lin Yuan and was aware of the star-tier fragment world's market price. As things stood, this star-tier fragment world, whether in terms of size or environment, was undoubtedly top-tier. Coupled with the fact that it lay within the formation-protected range of the ancient Ming Chaos continent, and under the protection of the ancient Ming Venerable, its price was surely exorbitant. Even the Xia Qin Supreme, with no deep understanding of market intricacies, knew that this star-tier fragment world cost far more than humanity's allocated budget. It's fine. Lin Yuan waved his hand casually, dismissing the concern. This fragment world had been acquired essentially for free. Lin Yuan naturally had no intention of demanding 1,200,000 chaos stones from the Xinyuan Supreme. After all, the ownership of the star-tier fragment world was registered entirely in his name as his private property. Setting aside a portion of it for humanity's citizens to reside in was a trivial matter. Since Lin Yuan did not clarify, the Xianyuan Supreme and the other 8 supreme beings of human civilization became more convinced that Lin Yuan had stretched his personal resources, believing he had purchased this fragment world through tireless scrimping, perhaps even incurring some level of debt. This star-tier fragment world, while humanity cannot afford it now, it must not remain unpaid for, nor can we inhabit it freely. The 9 of us 12th Dao realm practitioners only need to work diligently, steadily accumulating chaos stones bit by bit. If 1 cosmic era isn't enough, then 2 cosmic eras or 3. Exchanging glances, the Xianyuan Supreme and the other 8 supreme beings came to a silent agreement in their hearts. The debt humanity already owed Lin Yuan was immeasurable. Without him, the recent universal destruction would have spelled humanity's end. Not only had humanity avoided destruction, but Lin Yuan had also provided them with this near-perfect new home. The Xinyuan Supreme, for one, could not simply take this as Lin Yuan's responsibility. After conferring briefly with the 9 supreme beings, Lin Yuan began transferring an unending stream of citizens from his internal universe to the star-tier fragment world. So, this is the place we'll be living from now on? A 3rd-rank ascendant gazed around curiously. Compared to the sight of countless stars suspended in a cosmic void, this new world felt unified and filled with a soothing energy that uplifted the soul. Swoosh! More and more citizens of humanity emerged in the star-tier fragment world. At the same time, a swarm of intelligent machines descended, immediately beginning the physical labor necessary to rebuild human civilization. The star-tier fragment world, though naturally rich in resources, was still too primitive. It required careful adaptation to align with the modern lifestyle of human citizens. From a higher vantage point, Lin Yuan, the Xianyuan Supreme, and the Xia Qin Supreme watched the star-tier fragment world from afar. Countless intelligent machines and human citizens worked hand in hand, undertaking the fiery and fevered task of reconstruction. In a matter of months, we'll have transformed this place into a livable environment. By 6 months, everything should be running smoothly, and within 2 years, the virtual network world will be fully integrated. By then, life here will be indistinguishable from life in the universe, the Feather Butterfly Supreme remarked. The reconstruction of human civilization had, in fact, already gone through numerous rehearsals. No major problems were anticipated. From now on, human civilization will take root in this world, the ancient Power Supreme said with a smile. Humanity is about to step into a new era, an era interconnected with the chaos void, the void god ultimate being added, standing nearby. Lin Yuan's face lit up with a gentle smile. A new home, a new era. The history of human civilization was entering an entirely new chapter. Search * the Nelfer. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The 61 million years of the Starry Sea era had finally become a thing of the past. P.S. 10,000 word update. Please send your monthly votes if you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1029A Simple Retreat. Vote for monthly ticket. In just 10 months, the fragmented world of Starlight Tears was completely transformed from top to bottom. Various futuristic and technologically advanced buildings sprang up, and the virtual world network was fully implemented. Throughout the process, everything proceeded smoothly. At the same time, internal trade within human civilization was re-established, even extending to trade routes with ancient Ming's Chaos continent. The countless human citizens of this new home felt that apart from the absence of a visible starry sky, their life here was no different from life within the vast universe. In fact, it was even better and more comfortable. This is the house allocated for me to live in? It's so spacious and it's completely free? Our new home is managed by the government, which allocates housing, jobs, medical services, and education. It's incredible. Yes, honestly, I thought migrating to a new home would mean starting from scratch and living a difficult life. The citizens settling into the fragmented world of Starlight Tears adapted quickly, primarily because the benefits and welfare not only remained, but were significantly improved. And more crucially, my son was just born, and he has evolutionary talents. He'll become an evolver in the future. My daughter does as well. All of yours? My grandson's test results showed his evolutionary talents are pretty good too. The world of Starlight Tears was imbued with a gentle force unique to its fragmented world, greatly benefiting the process of life creation, including but not limited to enhancing the potential of newborns and extending lifespans. In the universe, countless citizens are required to produce even one individual with evolutionary talent, but here, in this fragmented world, almost every newborn carried such talents to varying degrees. The emergence of vast numbers of foundational evolvers increased the probability of mid-level and high-level evolvers being born, thus creating a virtuous cycle where the development of human civilization would far outpace that within the universe. The newly established core of human civilization. Lin Yuan was discussing with 9 ultimate beings how to deal with those aliens who had entirely pledged themselves to human civilization. Under the universal cataclysm, many aliens who hadn't been integrated into their respective 12 layers inner universe opted to fully surrender to human civilization in a desperate bid for survival. These aliens fought against human civilization for so many years. What should we do with them now? Asked the Void God Ultimate Being. In my opinion, we should just sell them. If I remember correctly, ancient Ming's Chaos continent has a demand for this. The ancient power supreme being spoke bluntly. He harbored little goodwill toward these aliens. Were it not for Lin Yuan, he wouldn't have bothered saving them at all. Xianxia the novel of Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. They're all life forms below 12 layers. Even if sold to merchants, they wouldn't fetch much, the feather butterfly supreme being remarked. Why not cultivate them instead to make them an asset for human civilization? Right now, in this chaos void, our civilization is still weak. We need to pool all resources for development. The various peak ethnic groups across the universe, having engaged in prolonged conflict with human civilization, undoubtedly possess strengths worth leveraging. Added to that was their mutual familiarity, making them relatively convenient to utilize. That could work. However, the resources allocated for their development should be limited. I wouldn't want to see these aliens regain their strength and oppose us again in the future. Regain their strength? With the galaxy in play, what could they use to stage a resurgence? True. Still, even so, restrictions are necessary. The 9 ultimate beings quickly reached a consensus. The plan was to allocate certain resources to these aliens, aiding their development and ultimately fostering the collective progression of human civilization. Different peak ethnic groups possessed unique advantages. Take the insect race, for example, the most fiercely combative alien race against human civilization. Their queens could birth countless insect race warriors, who could easily serve as expendable forces for exploring dangerous regions. As for deploying intelligent machines for exploration, Chaos Void's numerous perilous areas often disrupted machines, causing malfunctions. Of course, any cultivation efforts by human civilization would be limited purely to the new generation of aliens. The older generation of alien strong ones remained tightly restricted. Galaxy, how do you plan to handle those 12 layers ones? The Xianyuan Supreme looked curiously toward Lin Yuan for answers. Them, Lin Yuan smiled faintly. They've all already been bound with prohibitions. Let's leave it for later. Bringing these 12 layers aliens out was a decision Lin Yuan made casually. Even without doing so, the universal origin source consciousness would have done everything to obstruct him anyway. Besides, bringing these 12 layers aliens with him also served to prevent any leakage of information about him. Lin Yuan's growth speed within the universe was astonishing even by Chaos Void standards. These 12 layers aliens knew too much, and letting them go with loose tongues would pose a security risk. Speaking of which, there's one more matter. The Xianyuan Supreme smiled and said, I remember Galaxy mentioning that within ancient Ming's Chaos Continent, there's a place specializing in the trade of 12 layers evolutionary pathways? Indeed, Lin Yuan nodded. When Lin Yuan had first arrived at ancient Ming's Chaos Continent, he learned of this. The 10,000 Paths Pavilion offered desired 12 layers evolutionary pathways. The 10,000 Paths Pavilion ensured that these 12 layers pathways were unobstructed by ultimate existences, allowing unhindered progress. Its background was unfathomably vast. Even the pavilion in ancient Ming's Chaos Continent was merely a branch, and its influence spanned multiple Chaos continents. We're planning to purchase several 12 layers evolutionary pathways. The Xianyuan Supreme exchanged looks with the other 8 ultimate beings, revealing their plans. Purchase 12 layers evolutionary pathways? Lin Yuan speculated on their rationale. Numerous human civilization evolvers entering Chaos Void gradually transitioned their life essence into the mainstream timelines of Chaos Void. With the environmental ceiling raised, many 11th level perfected evolvers were gearing up to make their ultimate leaps, attempting to step into 12 layers. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1030A Simple Retreat, Asking for Monthly Votes. _2 Actually, the difficulty of reaching the ultimate evolution and crossing into the 12th tier in the Chaos Void is lower than crossing into the 12th tier within the universe. The time river of the Chaos Void has little backlash against life forms attempting ultimate evolution, greatly increasing the likelihood of success. This is precisely the reason the 9 supreme beings of human civilization have considered this possibility. So far, human civilization's existing 12th tier evolutionary path is singular, but cultivating along this path is extremely troublesome. More 12th tier evolutionary paths need to be developed. Understood. SAR the Novel Fire. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lin Yuan nodded, keeping this matter close to heart. When the time comes, you, Galaxy, will help us purchase the necessary items. The expenses will come out of the human civilization treasury. The Xianyuan Supreme said. As for why they did not purchase the items themselves, the 9 supreme beings of human civilization are far less discerning and insightful than Lin Yuan, unable to properly evaluate the strengths and drawbacks of a true 12th tier evolutionary path. Thus, they entrusted Lin Yuan with this task. Rather than risk choosing wrongly themselves and regretting it, it's better to leave the judgment and decisions to Lin Yuan. This is not urgent. You can do it whenever you deem fit, Galaxy. The Xianyuan Supreme said in a relaxed tone. Even in the Chaos Void, matters concerning ultimate evolution carry great importance. Waiting thousands or tens of thousands of years is entirely normal. At the deepest point of the fragment world of star tiers, Lin Yuan sat cross-legged. This fragment world was first purchased as Lin Yuan's private cultivation abode. Only secondarily did it become the new home for human civilization. Naturally, Lin Yuan held the highest level of authority here. Martial Arts Evolution Road. Lin Yuan examined himself, as well as the path he had traversed in the past. So far, the martial Tao evolution road had been developed up to the 12th tier, opening the path chapter. As for the domination chapter, it was still being refined and had not yet been fully established. However, this time Lin Yuan went into solitary cultivation not to continue perfecting the domination chapter but to attempt an expansion of the breadth of the martial arts evolution road. Precisely speaking, it was to establish several branching paths for the martial arts evolution road. Each of these branches would independently constitute a 12th tier path, yet all would take martial Tao as the foundation and extend into distinct directions. The great Tao is endless. Even the same Tao is not fixed. It can diverge into numerous branches, all leading to the same destination. Lin Yuan contemplated inwardly, with reflections upon martial Tao constantly emerging in his mind. Establishing new branches for martial Tao was an idea Lin Yuan had conceived ever since crossing into the 12th tier. It was just that he had never had the time to actualize it. Under the pressures of universal catastrophe, everything Lin Yuan had focused on over the past centuries was directed at the most immediate ways of enhancing his own foundation and combat strength. As for branching martial Tao, it had no immediate effect on his martial Tao cultivation or on himself. Thus, it hadn't been on Lin Yuan's priority list of must-do tasks. Now that a new home for human civilization had been found and all matters were proceeding systematically, Lin Yuan was able to rest briefly and begin considering this matter. Branching the martial Tao road may indeed have little short-term impact, but over a longer timeline, its significance would become immense and simply impossible to overlook. Even crossing into the 12th tier via different branches, the essence would still be rooted in the martial Tao evolution road, allowing Lin Yuan to reap the myriad benefits that arise from establishing branching paths and creating more 12th tier beings. During ultimate evolution, countless cultivators of martial Tao evolution road called out to Lin Yuan from the depths of the void, ensuring his spiritual will did not collapse, ultimately enabling him to easily pass through the heart demon world born from the primary tributary of the Time River. And this anchor point effect is certainly not confined to ultimate evolution. Perhaps one day, when Lin Yuan's true form, avatars, and manifestations have all perished, even when his consciousness in the source world has fallen, if his spirit sinks into boundless darkness and remains trapped within death, these calls will still reverberate, helping Lin Yuan lock onto anchor points and forcefully return. The wider-reaching cultivation of martial Tao evolution road by living beings, and the greater number of strong practitioners arising from it, will only amplify these calls, rendering them irresistible, even transcending space and time itself. In fact, the martial Tao I established has long laid the groundwork for numerous branching paths. Lin Yuan meditated cross-legged, flashes of inspiration continually bursting in his mind. Starting from the second layer of martial Tao, differentiation within martial Tao had already begun. Lin Yuan used Yin-Yang Taiji as the core of his own martial Tao foundation, while other martial Tao cultivators might choose entirely different cores for their martial Tao foundation. For instance, martial arts evolutionaries adept at the power of gold could readily use golden power as the basis of their martial Tao foundation. By the time they reach the fifth layer, evolving golden power into the golden primordial spirit, which would ultimately grant insight into the golden rules. And so on. Starting from the second layer of martial Tao, it encompassed all things, with countless paths accessible within the martial Tao cultivation system. From the second to 11th layer of martial Tao, martial arts evolutionaries had long chosen specialties, following the paths Lin Yuan had carved forward. I created the 12th tier martial Tao based on Taiji Yin and Yang as its root, but other martial Tao cultivators can absolutely base their pathways on their own choices to achieve their 12th tier. Lin Yuan's eyes shone brightly with vigor. In this way, the potential of martial Tao would grow to unprecedented levels, theoretically allowing it to branch indefinitely and give rise to countless martial Tao 12th tier practitioners. First, I will establish the simplest martial Tao 5 elements branches. Lin Yuan began to delve into deeper insights. The first would be the branch of gold. Gold signifies sharpness and cutting edge, shattering all barriers. This martial Tao branch, though somewhat extreme, was more than sufficient to ascend to the 12th tier. Your unparalleled insight enables you to newly establish and perfect the martial Tao evolution road, completing the metal martial arts branch. Your unparalleled insight enables you to newly establish and perfect the martial Tao evolution road, completing the wood martial arts branch. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report, so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1031A Simple Retreat, Seeking Monthly Tickets, _ Your perception defies the heavens, recomprehending the evolution pathway of the martial Tao, perfecting the water martial arts. Most of Lin Yuan's mind was focused on this, and the perfection and development of various branches of the martial Tao had a great impact on him. As the ancestor of martial arts, even if he hadn't traversed these paths, he could wield them as if they were an extension of his arm. If these branches are perfected using the power of the 5 elements of gold, wood, water, fire, and earth, their potential will undoubtedly be great. Lin Yuan thought. The rotation of the 5 elements is almost flawless, and it balances destruction and creation. But wanting to comprehend gold, wood, water, fire, and earth, and master these 5 forces at the 2nd layer? Condensing the 5 elements primordial spirit at the 5th layer? The difficulty is too high. If it were within the universe, Lin Yuan even doubted whether such a genius existed, but in the chaos void? With the bloodlines of various spectacular life forms rampant, and with many monstrous talents, there is still hope of traversing this path. Those who step into the 12th level of martial Tao through the 5 elements martial arts, their combat power, upon initially entering the path-splitting realm, would likely be close to its peak. Of course, this path is very difficult, requiring not only the comprehension of the 5 elements at the 2nd layer but also the cultivation of the 5 elements primordial spirit, the 5 elements rules, and so on. Lin Yuan earnestly perfected the branch path of the 5 elements martial arts, not minding what future 5 elements martial arts cultivators might pose as a threat to him. Firstly, with Lin Yuan's innate talent and aptitude, on the same level of cultivation, he believes no life could compare to him. Even more so with those who come after? While they take 1 step, Lin Yuan would have already moved 10, 100 steps forward. How can there be any comparison? Moreover, Lin Yuan's combat power and foundation are not limited to martial Tao alone, even if there are martial cultivators who break the ironclad rules and also tread the yin-yang taiji path. In the same realm, they would still be crushed by Lin Yuan. The same path, but is the cosmic foundation within the body the same? Lin Yuan's path-splitting realm internal universe is on par with the Chaos Venerable. There are countless rules comprehended, secret techniques, and so on. There's simply no competition. More crucially, as the ancestor of martial arts and the founder of this great Tao of martial arts, Lin Yuan inherently wields an indescribable, unstoppable overcoming power against those who follow in the martial Tao. Just like a mouse meeting a cat, it is naturally suppressed to death. For example, from the perspective of potential, the 5 elements martial arts, the cycle of the 5 elements is not much inferior to the yin-yang taiji. But with all other external conditions identical, like realm strength, inner world, numerous rule insights, secret techniques, divine skills, and so on, being equal, the 5 elements martial arts evolutionary would still be crushed by Lin Yuan. The reason for being crushed here is that in front of Lin Yuan, the martial arts cultivator's full strength cannot be brought out, being innately suppressed and constrained. In equal strength, even if the opponent is stronger than Lin Yuan, as long as they are based on martial Tao, branching into endless paths, they would be thoroughly suppressed by Lin Yuan, without any power to resist. Space martial arts. Lin Yuan began to develop and perfect the corresponding branch of martial arts based on space. Compared to the smooth development of various martial arts branches previously, Lin Yuan clearly encountered bottleneck difficulties in perfecting space martial arts. If one were to develop a martial arts branch based on space? Lin Yuan sat cross-legged, lost in thought. Space is too vast, yet also too flimsy. Lin Yuan thought to himself, and there was another point he hadn't mentioned, which was that the difficulty is too high. To base it on space means mastering the power of space at the second layer of martial Tao. A second-layer martial arts evolutionary who hasn't even fully grasped and developed the power of their physical body and soul, let alone comprehend and master the power of space? As for condensing the space primordial spirit at the fifth layer, it requires a certain level of understanding of space power. Otherwise, how could one control the power of space to condense the space primordial spirit? Space martial arts will be temporarily shelved. There's no need to develop it. Lin Yuan shook his head slightly, mainly because the threshold for this martial arts branch is too high. The life forms that can master the power of space at the second layer must have a certain pure space bloodline. Such beings are too rare. Simply put, the general accessibility of space martial arts is not high, far from being as simple and introductory as ordinary metal martial arts or water martial arts. Time martial arts? Lin Yuan began to experiment with more. Compared to space martial arts, the difficulty of time martial arts soared another level, and Lin Yuan had no intention of perfecting this branch. He's merely pondering the deeper essence of martial Tao through this martial arts branch. Space martial arts, time martial arts, then what about space-time martial arts? Lin Yuan's interest was piqued as time and space began to intertwine before him. With space-time as the foundation, the potential of the martial arts branch extended from this is vast, but this martial arts path is almost impossible to even get started. Space-time. Lin Yuan pondered the feasibility of space-time martial arts and the application of space-time, and his thoughts immediately shifted from martial arts to space-time. Suddenly, countless accumulated insights into space-time erupted explosively. Thousands of years of space-time comprehension in the main universe, the novel fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Clear observation of space-time fluctuations within the source world, and after entering the chaos void, sensing the vast space-time of the boundless chaos void, your perception defies the heavens, penetrating analogy, reaching the eightfold realm in space-time comprehension. In an instant, the vast space-time of the chaos void began to slowly clear up before Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan looked down, with the vast ancient Ming chaos continent fully in view, and even Lin Yuan's gaze faintly looked toward the deepest part of the ancient Ming chaos continent, where a chaotic aura figure was enclosed. Cultivation. Is it the ancient Ming venerable? Lin Yuan's expression was contemplative, and he immediately stopped paying attention. With the perception of a chaos venerable, continuing to watch is highly likely to be noticed. What an unexpected delight. A smile appeared on Lin Yuan's face. I didn't expect that in this retreat to perfect and develop martial arts branches, I would end up comprehending the eightfold realm of space-time. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1032 10,000 Laws and Paths, requesting monthly tickets, deep within the chaos continent of ancient Ming. Who is spying on me? Ancient Ming Venerable opened his eyes, his expression flickering with astonishment. It must be some passing venerable. Ancient Ming Venerable immediately sensed the prying gaze retreating swiftly, and speculated inwardly. To be able to see through the layers of formations within the chaos continent and locate the place where he was in closed-door training. The opponent's mastery of space-time must at least be at the eighth realm. Just arrived in this void and perhaps piqued the curiosity of nearby venerables who came to investigate? Ancient Ming Venerable speculated inwardly. The comprehension of the eighth realm of space-time already belongs to the domain of seasoned chaos venerables. Ordinary newly advanced chaos venerables still remain at the peak of the seventh realm in space-time mastery. Fragment world of star tier. Lin Yuan was using the insights of the eighth realm of space-time, constantly observing the space-time around him. Whether it is the distance traveled through the void or the mastery of space-time, both have improved significantly. Lin Yuan marveled inwardly, with the primary takeaway being that, in the future, when facing enemies at the venerable level, He would no longer be suppressed in the space-time domain. Mastery in the realm of space-time was akin to having the initiative, offense or retreat could be controlled. I wonder what the ninth realm of space-time would be like. Lin Yuan wondered silently. The eighth realm of space-time is a level only accessible to Chaos Venerables, while the ninth realm belongs to the domain of Chaos Great Saints or even Peerless Great Saints. As a Peerless Great Saint, Shenhuang has the power to open 33,333 Shenhuang secret realms scattered across different universes, primarily relying on the peak comprehension of the ninth realm of spacetime. This session of closed-door training can be considered finished. Lin Yuan gathered his thoughts. Despite reaching the eighth realm in spacetime mastery, he felt no trace of arrogance. The insight of the eighth realm only allowed him to face Chaos Venerables with ease. But what if it was a Chaos Great Saint? Lin Yuan still vividly remembered the obliteration of his home universe in the aftermath of the battle between the Shadow Demon Great Saint and the Nine Phoenix Great Saint. Search * the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. From beginning to end, he hadn't even seen traces of the two great saints themselves. The residual power fluctuations from their clash alone sufficed to erase everything, instilling in Lin Yuan a deep sense of helplessness. With my current foundation, if I were to ascend into the Master Realm, even if I still wouldn't be able to rival a great saint, I would at least have some degree of self-preservation, wouldn't I? No longer an ant that could be casually crushed by a great saint? Lin Yuan speculated inwardly. The leap from the path-splitting realm to the Master Realm is a major cross-dire progression within the 12 layers of cultivation, marking a qualitative transformation in combat power. For Lin Yuan, the same principle applies. At that point, the infinite void and other subsequent realms could continue to be cultivated. The Master Realm, it's close. Lin Yuan felt the distance between his physical body and soul nearing their peak, silently pondering to himself. This session of closed-door training, achieving the insight of the eighth realm of space-time, can be considered an unexpected fortune. Lin Yuan's mind surfaced with the many martial Tao subpaths he had just opened and perfected, 73 martial Tao subpaths in total. Theoretically, these 73 subpaths can each lead to the 12th layer. Lin Yuan felt quite pleased inwardly. The more martial Tao subpaths, the wider the scope of the martial Tao itself. If it weren't for the vastness, how could so many paths be established? The muddy small paths, no matter how they are extended, could never become a grand avenue leading to transcendence. Those people from Xuanyuan's side asked me to buy some 12th layer evolution paths. Why would I need to buy them? Aren't they already readily available? Lin Yuan's face showed a faint smile. 73 martial Tao subpaths leading directly to the 12th layer were more than sufficient for human civilization to use for countless years to come. Actually, if I continued the closed-door training, I could further perfect and forge more martial Tao subpaths. But there's no need to do so. Lin Yuan thought inwardly. The core of martial Tao's evolution lies in the fundamental avenue. Once the pathway of many subpaths is opened, various subpaths will continuously emerge. Lin Yuan merely needed to guide them along the way. Once you master is looking for me? Lin Yuan's expression shifted slightly, immediately dividing off an incarnation to leave the fragment world of Star Tier and head toward the chaos continent of ancient Ming. In Mingchuan City, within a pavilion, Lin Yuan and Once You Master sat facing each other. Galaxy brother, I did not fail you. Once You Master smiled and said while looking at Lin Yuan. Since ancient Ming Venerable personally issued the order last time to nearly give away the fragment world of Star Tier to Lin Yuan, Once You Master realized that Lin Yuan's origins might be deeply terrifying. Later on, Once You Master sought an audience with ancient Ming Venerable, intending to probe into Lin Yuan's background. In the end, ancient Ming Venerable only left him with one warning. If you offend Galaxy, the entire Chaos continent will be annihilated. Once You Master still remembered clearly the expression ancient Ming Venerable had when he made that statement, filled with boundless dread and fear. It was precisely because of this that Once You Master had been fulfilling all of Lin Yuan's requests during this time. Many thanks. Lin Yuan said cheerfully. Not long ago, he had requested Wansu Master to help sell 18 Master Realm-level extraordinary trees obtained from Tsang Weiyang Sr., hoping to exchange them for specific cultivation resources or chaos stones. These 18 extraordinary trees bore spirit fruits periodically and were tantamount to money trees for a force, with the potential for continued inheritance. But for Lin Yuan, they were somewhat redundant. The fruiting cycle of the 18 extraordinary trees started at a minimum of 1 million years, and within that time frame, considering Lin Yuan's rate of growth, by the next million years, he might very well have already ascended to the Chaos realm. From the perspective of a Chaos Venerable, the 18 extraordinary trees were insignificant, let alone the spirit fruits they bore. These 18 extraordinary trees weren't the world tree nurtured by Lin Yuan's inner universe, which has the effect of stabilizing his inner cosmos. And their potential is quite high, having the capability to grow into chaos trees. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1033 The Myriad Laws and Paths, Seeking Monthly Pass, _2 So Lin Yuan had stayed until now. The greatest use of these 18 unique trees for Lin Yuan was to comprehend the technique of absorbing and expelling chaos qi through them. These are the resource materials needed by Galaxy, and I exchanged them effortlessly. Wansu Dominator waved his hand, and a purple cloth bag appeared before him, clearly a storage treasure, containing the resource materials Lin Yuan required. In truth, he didn't make any profit in this transaction and even suffered a slight loss. But as long as he could establish good relations with Lin Yuan, according to ancient Ming Venerable's instructions, no cost was too high. Lin Yuan received the purple cloth bag, extended his mental energy to scan its contents briefly, and then put it away with satisfaction. By the way, I'd like to ask you about something. Lin Yuan said. What asking? Galaxy, just say what you want to know. Wansu Dominator immediately replied. What is the origin of the 10,000 Paths Pavilion? Lin Yuan inquired. The intelligence left behind by the elder Tsang Weiyang regarding the 10,000 Paths Pavilion was somewhat vague. After all, elder Tsang Weiyang was merely at the peak of the Dominator realm. But Wansu Dominator, while also at the peak of the Dominator realm, was a disciple of Chaos Venerable and had been handling affairs related to the fragmented worlds of ancient Ming's Chaos continent for many years. In terms of access to inside information, he was undoubtedly far more resourceful than the solitary entity Tsang Weiyang. In addition, the lineage of Xian Huang had some understanding of the 10,000 Paths Pavilion, but the information was so ancient that it likely couldn't match what a Venerable's disciple might know. The 10,000 Paths Pavilion? Wansu Dominator was mildly startled. Galaxy, are you curious about the 10,000 Paths Pavilion? Somewhat. Sir, the Noveland at website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lin Yuan admitted frankly. A faction that thrived on trading evolution pathways surely had a significant origin, but he wanted to learn more about its specifics. The 10,000 Paths Pavilion, its full name is Myriad Laws and Paths Pavilion, earns its livelihood through the trade of evolution pathways. Whether you want to buy or sell evolution pathways, you can do so through the 10,000 Paths Pavilion. Wansu Dominator's tone became considerably heavier as he continued, but one thing, never cause trouble at the 10,000 Paths Pavilion. Otherwise, even Master may not be able to save you. Even a Venerable couldn't save someone? Lin Yuan was slightly stunned. This Chaos continent was ancient Ming Venerable's domain. Ancient Ming Venerable was the sole heaven here. Could it be that even ancient Ming Venerable couldn't rescue someone causing trouble at the 10,000 Paths Pavilion? That's right. Wansu Dominator nodded. What we see as the 10,000 Paths Pavilion are merely branch pavilions. As for the main pavilion of the 10,000 Paths Pavilion, no one knows where it is located, hidden in the mysterious recesses of the Chaos Void, accessible only to invited distinguished guests. And within every branch pavilion of the 10,000 Paths Pavilion exists a projection of the Eye of Myriad Laws. The Eye of Myriad Laws is the true overseer of the 10,000 Paths Tower. It is supremely impartial and incorruptible. Normally, the projection of the Eye of Myriad Laws remains dormant, only activated when validating an ambiguous evolution pathway. Once Dominator glanced at Lin Yuan and lowered his voice. Even a mere projection of the Eye of Myriad Laws is enough to make a Chaos Great Saint wary. A projection? Lin Yuan was secretly alarmed. Merely a projection held such power. Zunwang's conjecture about the 10,000 Paths Pavilion, suspected to be the contingency plan of a 13th layer time life being, likely had some truth. In planning to disseminate evolution pathway routes. Can the 10,000 Paths Pavilion assist in that process? Lin Yuan revealed his true intent. After establishing numerous branches of the martial Tao evolution pathway, Lin Yuan once again placed the dissemination of the martial Tao evolution pathway onto his agenda. And the inheritance of martial Tao evolution pathways naturally wouldn't be limited to the confines of human civilization. Lin Yuan hoped for the martial Tao evolution pathways to be spread throughout the chaos void, across numerous chaotic continents. As long as your evolution pathways meet the criteria of the Eye of Myriad Laws, you can use the 10,000 Paths Pavilion to disseminate them. Once Dominator shook his head and said, though that's extremely hard to achieve. Evolution pathways that the 10,000 Paths Pavilion actively disseminates are exceedingly rare. Understood. Lin Yuan nodded. After chatting briefly with once Dominator, Lin Yuan rose and took his leave. In the fragmented worlds of star tiers, Lin Yuan sat cross-legged, with a purple cloth bag hovering before him, containing the resource materials acquired from selling 13 unique trees. Song Weiyang Elder. Lin Yuan's mind conjured the image of a rounded figure, the imprint he had once found in the dwelling left by Song Weiyang. The Myriad Manifestations Void Domain. Stone People Tribe. Back then, the imprint of Song Weiyang Elder had freely given all treasures to Lin Yuan, leaving only one request. That was, if Lin Yuan had the capability in the future, to visit the Myriad Manifestations Void Domain and take a disciple from the Stone People Tribe. This request was optional for Lin Yuan. Song Weiyang hadn't imposed any obligations, leaving it entirely up to Lin Yuan's discretion. The Myriad Manifestations Void Domain should be in that direction. Lin Yuan glanced in a certain direction, contemplating. The Chaos Void was suffused with endless Chaos Qi, sometimes thick, sometimes thin. Regions with thick Chaos Qi were favorable for cultivation and thus labeled Void Domains. As for regions with thin Chaos Qi, they supported far fewer permanent life forms and were collectively termed Desolate Zones. Lin Yuan currently resided in the Divine Wind Void Domain. The Myriad Manifestations Void Domain was not far from the Divine Wind Void Domain, separated by only 2 or 3 void domains. Normally, a Dominator realm expert, flying continuously for several decades, could traverse one void domain. The Stone People Tribe? Lin Yuan mused. The Stone People Tribe was the very group to which Elder Song Weiyang belonged. Back then, Elder Song Weiyang had left his tribe to roam various void domains, eventually ascending to the Dominator realm and reaching its peak. Elder Song Weiyang's reason for making this request likely stemmed from concerns that his tribe might face extinction after his demise. According to Elder Song Weiyang, the Stone People Tribe was rather weak, with only 4 or 5 path-splitting realm members besides himself. Fine. I'll dispatch an avatar to visit the Myriad Manifestations Void Domain. Lin Yuan's thoughts stirred, and in the chaos void outside ancient Ming's chaos continent, Chaos Qi converged into a figure, swiftly heading toward the Myriad Manifestations Void Domain. After reaching the 8th realm of spacetime mastery, Lin Yuan's control over the distance his avatar could maintain had vastly improved. Covering the distance between 2 or 3 void domains, or even 20 or 30 void domains, was easily achievable. The insights of the 8th realm of spacetime, a level only attainable by one's own venerable, had enabled this breakthrough. Dispatching an avatar to fulfill Elder Song Weiyang's request was a mere triviality for Lin Yuan. Although Elder Song Weiyang hadn't imposed any restrictions, Lin Yuan had no desire to exploit this opportunity for personal gain. After all, the many treasures and weapons left behind by Elder Zhang Weiyang had served as Lin Yuan's first pot of gold in exploring the chaos void, providing invaluable assistance. Lin Yuan naturally wouldn't ignore this. Of course, the most crucial point was that fulfilling Elder Zhang Weiyang's request was an easy task, merely taking on a disciple from the Stone People tribe, not safeguarding them for countless years. Lin Yuan's avatar could complete the task quickly, and with the 8th realm of spacetime mastery's speed, it wouldn't take much time. Have Xian Yuan and the others already arrived? Lin Yuan's expression shifted as he sensed Xian Yuan Supreme and 8 other Supremes waiting outside. Putting the purple cloth bag away, Lin Yuan stood and stepped out. Galaxy. Xian Yuan Supreme and the 8 other Supremes looked at Lin Yuan excitedly. You summoned us. Does it mean you've already acquired suitable evolution pathways? Not quite. Lin Yuan shook his head, but it's close. Not quite. Close. Xian Yuan Supreme's expression showed confusion. Those were entirely contradictory statements. Let me show you something. Lin Yuan transmitted the details of the martial Tao evolution pathways with numerous newly developed branches to the 9 Supremes via the virtual world network. What is it? Xian Yuan Supreme looked somewhat expectant. Anything Lin Yuan specifically introduced was bound to be extraordinary. Soon enough, the 9 Supremes had received the martial Tao evolution pathways Lin Yuan shared. Galaxy, isn't this the martial Tao evolution pathway you established? The nearby ancient power supreme had barely scanned the information when he began to speak, but then his expression shifted slightly. Ancient power supreme carefully reviewed the material, then fixed a solemn gaze on Lin Yuan, his tone betraying disbelief. Is this a martial Tao evolution pathway? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1034 Global Conflict. Vote for Monthly Pass. This is indeed an evolution pathway for the martial Tao. The Xian Yuan Supreme being standing nearby also read it over several times. Then, with a solemn tone, he said, however, it is rooted in thunder. I can sense that this thunder martial path has not yet reached the ultimate 12th tier foundation. An evolution pathway signifies a cultivation road. Any 12th tier existence can determine, by careful observation, whether a particular evolution pathway has been cultivated by a 12th tier being. Yet, right now, this Thunder Martial Path evolution pathway is extremely similar to the one pursued by Lin Yuan's Martial Tao evolution pathway, but it doesn't seem to have a 12th tier cultivator? That's correct. This evolution pathway happens to be a side branch of the Martial Tao I've personally developed and refined, and it absolutely has the potential to give rise to new 12th tiers, Lin Yuan said. Incredible. The ancient power supreme being could barely believe it. They had heard before that some extraordinarily vast evolution roads could allow concurrent side branches to coexist, and each could foster new 12th tiers. But such evolution roads are exceptionally rare, requiring extremity in every aspect. Roots and accumulations must reach the utmost limits. Otherwise, if the foundation is inadequate, how can it accommodate additional evolutionary branches? Additionally, these branches must align perfectly with the incredibly dark chaos void and the operating rules and principles of its Tao. Yet, no matter how ideal, if it is not compatible with the Tao of the chaos void, it cannot spawn new branches. It seems that we underestimated the martial Tao in our assessments back then. The Xia Qin Supreme being finished reading as well, equally overwhelmed with shock. He could sense that this Thunder Martial Path, even if it were only a side branch of the true martial Tao, already holds greater potential than the 12th tier evolution pathway he had cultivated. See Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If a side branch holds such potential, what of the main trunk? Indeed. The Xian Yuan Supreme being nodded. An evolution pathway capable of spawning new branches inherently possesses the potential to transcend into a 13th tier universal Tao. Whether branches can emerge is indiscernible below the 12th tier, Lin Yuan said, shaking his head slightly. It's not something to blame upon the 9 human supreme beings. Even for a chaos venerable, merely examining the martial Tao evolution pathway from the 1st tier chapter to the 11th tier chapter, it's almost impossible to determine whether the martial Tao can give rise to branches. Lin Yuan, are you planning to unveil this thunder martial path to the galaxy's population? Yudi Supreme Being probed cautiously. Yes. Lin Yuan nodded. He also longed for the thunder martial path to foster a 12th tier existence. The roots of a great tree do not lie in its towering height or thickness but in the countless intertwined tendrils beneath the surface. The more strong cultivators there are on the martial Tao branches, the more they will nurture and enrich the martial Tao itself. That's fantastic. With this, the human civilization gains the equivalent of another 12th tier evolution pathway, Yudi Supreme Being remarked with some satisfaction. Although the Chaos Void might offer purchasable 12th tier evolution pathways, how could any compare to the reliability of this Thunder Martial path? It's a pity I haven't walked the path of thunder, otherwise I might have directly transitioned to this evolutionary road. The Ancient Power Supreme Being sighed heavily. In the universe, any cultivator who has chosen their evolution road, once they reach the 6th tier, finds it exceedingly difficult to shift to another road. But that limitation applies only to evolution practitioners below the 12th tier. For a 12th tier being, wanting to switch to another road simply requires scattering one's Tao. That is, dispersing the cultivated Tao they had established. Of course, no 12th tier being would casually scatter their Tao. The risk is immense. A 12th tier life form who disperses their cultivated Tao remains with a 12th tier level of vitality and soul, but without a foundational road, their combat power diminishes to less than 1%, perhaps even to thousands. Moreover, cultivating another evolutionary road to reach the 12th tier would also demand an immense amount of time. Thus, unless they fall upon an evolutionary road extremely suited to them, no 12th tier existence would willingly scatter their Tao. Even if they did encounter a perfect evolution road, when making the decision to scatter the Tao, they must be extraordinarily cautious. If an enemy were to strike during the dispersal process, the consequences would be disastrous. Actually, this branch is quite appropriate for you, Ancient Power, Lin Yuan said with a slight smile, transmitting the refined martial path of force to the Ancient Power Supreme Being. Lin Yuan had awakened the physical body divine ability mountain lifting early on and held profound insights into the rule of force, naturally allowing the martial Tao to extend into a martial path of force tied to force rules. This branch, the Ancient Power Supreme Being was slightly dazed. Was there another branch besides the Thunder Martial Path? But in the next moment, the Ancient Power Supreme Being froze, as all the intricate aspects of the martial path of force poured into his mind. The Ancient Power Supreme Being was dumbstruck, muttering to himself, I never imagined the path of force could be pursued this way, could be guided in this manner. His eyes gleamed brightly. The way of force isn't merely pure strength. It involves dimensions like time and space. If I had embarked on this cultivation path earlier, I'd likely be nearing the pinnacle of the path-splitting realm now. The Ancient Power Supreme Being was humanity's second Supreme Being to emerge, a contemporary alongside the Shenyuan Supreme Being. All roads lead to the same destination. To step into the Chaos realm, one must encompass myriad rules and ultimately gestate Chaos rules, Lin Yuan said. While he secluded himself to refine and extend the martial Tao's major branches, Lin Yuan had naturally prioritized considering the evolutionary pathways followed by humanity's 9 Supreme Beings. For instance, the Ancient Power Supreme Being's path of force, Yudi Supreme Being's Dream Tao path, Xiaqin Supreme Being's Dark Tao path, all 9 Supreme Beings' cultivation paths were encompassed within the branches of the martial Tao. This martial path of force certainly surpasses the evolution pathway Ancient Power cultivates. It also better suits you, the Shenyuan Supreme Being remarked upon reviewing it. Indeed. Lin Yuan nodded. How could it not suit him? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1035 Global Conflict, Vote for Monthly Pass. _2 This martial Tao of force was specifically tailored and perfected by Lin Yuan for the ancient power supreme being. With Lin Yuan's realm, he had already seen through the strengths and weaknesses of the ancient power supreme being. Using the martial Tao as the foundation, perfecting a martial Tao of force suitable for the ancient power supreme being is all too simple. After all, it wasn't created out of thin air. Ancient power, I suggest you transition to practicing this martial Tao of force, said the Xianxia supreme being, standing beside him. I feel the same way. The ancient power supreme being's expression was enthusiastic. He then tentatively asked Lin Yuan, Galaxy, may I transition to cultivating this martial Tao of force? This martial Tao of force was proposed by Lin Yuan, and it branched from the path Lin Yuan himself followed. Naturally, before transitioning to practice it, he needed Lin Yuan's approval. No problem, Lin Yuan said with a smile. The ancient power supreme being transitioning to cultivating the martial Tao of force also benefits Lin Yuan greatly. Under normal circumstances, even if the martial Tao of force were made publicly available to all citizens of human civilization, no one knows how long it would take to give rise to a practitioner of the 12-layer martial Tao of force. Having an evolutionary path doesn't necessarily result in the emergence of a 12th layer. But the ancient power supreme being? He himself is already at the 12th layer. If he chooses to abandon his path and cultivates the martial Tao of force again, re-entering the 12th layer will likely pose no bottleneck risks. If ancient power transitions to cultivating the martial Tao of force, he might become humanity's second path-splitting realm pinnacle-level supreme being, the void god supreme being side. Human civilization's future will grow even stronger. Don't rush, Lin Yuan said from the side. I've also prepared some additional branches for you all. The Xianyuan Supreme Being, Xiaqin Supreme Being, Feather Butterfly Supreme Being, and the other 8 Supreme Beings were momentarily stunned. Lin Yuan continued to transmit the 8 martial Tao branches such as the Dark Martial Path and Dream Martial Path to them. The 8 Supreme Beings took a deep breath and quickly began reading and analyzing. After a long while, the Xiaqin Supreme Being suddenly opened his eyes, his gaze dark and eerie, then quickly returned to normal. Galaxy, this evolutionary path. The Xiaqin Supreme Being's voice trembled slightly, looking toward Lin Yuan. Dream Martial Path, Phantasm Reality. This evolutionary path could transcend into the domination realm without much issue. The Feather Butterfly Supreme Being's eyes sparkled with unprecedented brilliance. Cultivating it to the extreme, I will transform into a phantasmal life form. Even Chaos Venerables will need considerable effort to deal with me. Indeed. The other Supreme Beings nodded in agreement. They too were awed by the martial Tao branches Lin Yuan had transmitted. Galaxy, these. The Xianyuan Supreme Being looked at Lin Yuan, his expression filled with excitement. You can all cultivate them, Lin Yuan said directly. Perfecting and extending specialized martial Tao branches for the 9 Supreme Beings of humanity was entirely a mutually beneficial endeavor. The martial Tao foundation Lin Yuan followed would grow even deeper, and the 9 Supreme Beings of humanity could also reach even higher and further into the future. There are still dozens of martial Tao branches, each of which could serve as an entirely new evolutionary path into the 12th layer. Lin Yuan revealed all the extended and perfected martial Tao branches he had developed. A total of 73 paths. The 9 Supreme Beings exchanged glances, with the shock in their hearts diminishing slightly. At least with the prior examples of Thunder Martial Path and other perfectly tailored branches for the 9 Supreme Beings as a foundation, the addition of dozens of 12th layer branches wasn't something overly unfathomable. Lin Yuan chatted a bit more with the 9 Supreme Beings, as the Xiaqin Supreme Being and Xianyuan Supreme Being began discussions on who would be the first to abandon one's path and transition to cultivating a martial Tao branch. No matter how powerful a 12th layer being is, whether in the path-splitting realm, domination realm, or chaos realm, once they abandon their path, their power will plummet drastically. Hence, humanity's 9 Supreme Beings would never simultaneously abandon their paths. Although humanity possesses Lin Yuan as their pillar of the sea calm, they cannot rely solely on Lin Yuan to handle everything. The result of their discussion determined that, at most, only 2 supreme beings would be permitted to abandon their paths in the same period. Before these 2 supreme beings re-enter the 12th layer, the remaining 7 supreme beings would need to shoulder the responsibility of maintaining the order of human civilization. Unlike other 12th layer beings, humanity's 9 supreme beings grew up together from their weaker years, forming an exceptional trust among them, which gave them the courage to be the first to abandon their paths. After all, once they abandon their paths and lose their foundational route, a 12th layer being would possess only their essence but no strength. To other beings at the same level, they would become an extraordinary and unique, supreme elixir. No matter if it were consumed or melted down, it would greatly enhance the consumer. After making the martial Tao branches publicly available to humanity, Lin Yuan resumed his secluded cultivation. Refining these resources, my Xianhuang physique should be able to achieve perfection in the domination realm, Lin Yuan said, taking out a purple cloth pouch. Inside were the resources obtained by selling 18 domination realm wonder trees. These materials, coupled with the ones Lin Yuan had accumulated during other times, as well as his spoils from defeating the Serpent Demon Dominator and Blood Guardian Dominator, constituted nearly all his possessions. Serpent Demon Dominator and Blood Guardian Dominator were infamous plunderers, with wealth far exceeding that of ordinary domination realm pinnacle beings. Sir the Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Source World. Qingfen Domain, Sky Burning Court. Lin Yuan sat cross-legged in the 13th level chamber, continuing his cultivation methodically. Becoming the disciple of Lord Qingfen offers far better treatment than staying in the Yu family, Lin Yuan thought to himself. It wasn't that he thought the Yu family was inadequate, but under Lord Qingfen's tutelage he could significantly reduce the time spent on trivial matters. He could devote all his focus and energy to cultivation. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1036 Global Conflict, Vote for Monthly Pass. _3 So Lin Yuan was quite satisfied with his current situation. To some extent, Lin Yuan in the Fang Yuan world had a more favorable external environment than in the Chaos Void. After all, within the Chaos Void, Lin Yuan lacked any solid backing, whereas in the Fang Yuan world, with Lord Qingfen, someone at the peak of the Great Lord level, taking him under his wing, Lin Yuan was completely protected. Apart from Lord Qingfen, Lin Yuan also belonged to the Fierce Sun Ancient Country Camp, which spoke volumes about his background. I've now restored my strength to the 12th layer path-splitting realm. Since his last meeting with Lord Qingfen, Lin Yuan's cultivation resources had flowed continuously and uninterrupted. Hence, there were no bottlenecks or setbacks in restoring his strength. The seed of the Fierce Sun is also about to reach 30,000 units. Lin Yuan never gave up on the condensation of the seed of the Fierce Sun. For him, this wasn't particularly challenging and didn't require much effort, so he did it casually in his spare time while cultivating. My understanding of the rules has increased to some extent, though it hasn't been significant, Lin Yuan thought quietly, not finding it surprising. In fact, Lord Qingfen's advice wasn't wrong. After condensing several thousand or tens of thousands of seeds of the Fierce Sun, the body undergoes a transformation, making it unnecessary to expend energy to continue condensing more. Because the effort would outweigh the benefit. Others weren't like Lin Yuan. After condensing several thousand or tens of thousands of seeds of the Fierce Sun, even forming just one more would demand unimaginable effort and mental toil. Why would anyone do that merely to enhance their understanding of the rules by a fraction of 1,000th or 10,000th? I want to see what changes occur after condensing 33,333 seeds of the Fierce Sun. Lin Yuan felt a deep sense of anticipation. 3,333 seeds of the Fierce Sun allowed one's physical body to undergo transformation into the Fierce Sun Divine Body. But what about 33,333 seeds? In terms of difficulty, the latter far surpassed the former, probably to an extent that only the ancient country royals who could condense seeds of the fierce sun even while sleeping would dare to attempt such a feat. Did Master send me a message? Lin Yuan's heart stirred as he retrieved a scarlet jade slip, which now had a fresh message on it. Do not leave the sky-burning court for the time being. Lord Qingfen's message was concise, but for a great lord-level figure to personally send such a reminder, it had to be no trivial matter. Lord Qingfen presided over Qingfen City, overseeing every detail of the settlement beneath his gaze as a pinnacle great lord. Logically, even if Lin Yuan left the sky-burning court but stayed within Qingfen City, there should be no major concerns. Lord Qingfen could descend at a moment's notice. Is it because of the threat from the Purple Dream domain? Lin Yuan speculated. Even though he had been mostly immersed in secluded cultivation recently, Lin Yuan occasionally overheard certain news. Powerful figures from the Purple Dream domain had frequently been sighted near Qingfen City, seemingly watching for an opportunity. The Purple Dream domain was a neighboring domain to Qingfen domain, originating from an adversarial ancient country. The Fang Yuan world was vast and boundless, its ancient countries standing like colossal entities. Though the fierce Sun ancient country reigned supreme, it was certainly not alone. There were still opposing ancient countries. Interactions between ancient countries often involved clashes, especially within the border regions of neighboring domains. The Purple Dream Great Venerable's strength was not far beneath that of Lord Qingfen. Lord Qingfen's advice for Lin Yuan to stay in the sky-burning court accounted for the most extreme possibilities. Should the Purple Dream Great Venerable take direct action, Lord Qingfen would be occupied and unable to guarantee Lin Yuan's safety. Having Lin Yuan stay in the sky-burning court was due to the fact that it served as the core of Qingfen City's great formation. Even for someone as powerful as a pinnacle great lord, invading the sky-burning court would still require considerable time and effort. Should such an event truly unfold, it would trigger the sky-burning court's teleportation restriction, instantly sending Lin Yuan to another location, the personal stronghold meticulously prepared by Lord Qingfen, a location of utmost security. So, as long as Lin Yuan obediently remained in the sky-burning court, even a heavenly venerate-level expert would struggle to harm him. Well, he'll just stay here for now then. Lin Yuan was rather sensible. Since Lord Qingfen had advised him not to go out, he certainly would not venture out. Even though this physical Buddhist demise wouldn't equate to true death for Lin Yuan, and he could start anew, it would still waste time. Moreover, if he traveled through dimensions again, whether he would have the same favorable opening conditions was uncertain. Not every great lord-level expert would value their disciple like Lord Qingfen. Many great lords were selfish and exploitative, some even grooming disciples explicitly as resources for their own cultivation. The internal universe. After re-entering the 12th layer, Lin Yuan's internal universe began spontaneously evolving, gradually constructing the 13th layer inheritance, infinite void. This Fang Yuan world is fundamentally weak. It lacks the concept of internal universes. Lin Yuan mused while continuing his cultivation of infinite void. Infinite void was not akin to martial Tao or other evolutionary pathways. Instead, it resembled a secret technique, a method to transform the internal universe. Thus, it was cultivable even within the Fang Yuan world, a dimension outside the chaos void. Or is it not that the Fang Yuan world's experts are inherently weak, but that the Chaos Void's experts have exceedingly strong foundations? Lin Yuan wondered to himself. Within the Chaos Void, ascending to the 12th layer meant receiving Chaos Void origin infusion, which accelerated the transformation of the internal universe. But in this Fang Yuan world, there was no such convenience. Were it not for the vast resources supplied by Lord Qingfen, Lin Yuan's internal world would have taken tremendous time and effort to evolve into an internal universe. If Lin Yuan struggled this much, other experts would face even greater challenges. Time slid by gradually. Years passed in the blink of an eye. On this day, Lin Yuan's internal universe surged, having fully mastered the first layer of infinite void, which rivaled the internal universes of Chaos Venerables. By now, the strength of Lin Yuan's foundation absolutely surpassed even that of pinnacle great lords like Lord Qingfen. Seed of the fierce sun. Lin Yuan's expression shifted as he examined himself. At this moment, countless seeds of the fierce sun permeated his bodice limbs and bones, resembling an endless sea of fierce Sunday. Meanwhile, new seeds of the fierce sun continued to condense with the passage of time. So the novel, If Ire. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lin Yuan condensed another seed of the fierce sun. In an instant, a burgeoning cycle of seeds of the fierce sun formed a preliminary framework, bursting forth with radiant brilliance. P.S. First chapter update. Second chapter coming around 11 o'clock. Kneeling for monthly tickets if you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1037 The Terrifying Fierce Sun Divine Body, requesting monthly votes. The numerous seeds of the fierce sun intertwined, forming the embryonic shape of a cycle. Thus it repeated, endlessly. At this moment, Lin Yuan's physical body was rapidly accelerating in its transformation into the fierce sun divine body. The searing heat between heaven and earth surged continuously into him. I can feel it. My physical bodice metamorphosis into the fierce sun divine body has been drastically shortened in time, something that initially would have required 3,000 to 5,000 years. See Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. But it would only take 3 to 5 years. Only 3,000 seeds of the fierce sun, and already such phenomena? Lin Yuan was well aware of the number of seeds of the fierce sun within him. Only 30,000. It had not yet reached 33,333. Hence, the cycle formed by the seeds of the fierce sun was merely in its embryonic state. Even so, Lin Yuan could feel the changes in his physical body and soul, as though immersed in a hot spring. Exceedingly comfortable, and his comprehension of the rules had further advanced significantly. No longer at the previous tortoise-like pace. These seeds of the fierce sun seemed to be forming a broken imprint? Lin Yuan's heart stirred as he diverted a thread of his consciousness to probe into it. Boom! Lin Yuan's awareness instantly soared to infinite heights, arriving at a place filled with boundless fierce Sunday. This place was entirely crimson red, as if it were the sole existence in the world. What is that? Lin Yuan raised his gaze to find a figure silently standing at an immeasurable height. This figure radiated infinite light and heat, lacking a definitive shape. Its form varied a millionfold depending on the perspective of the beholder. Buzz. In the instant he saw the figure, Lin Yuan's consciousness began to plummet. Who? On the 13th floor of the sky-burning court, Lin Yuan exhaled softly. At this moment, he realized that even with the 30,000 seeds of the fierce sun not yet fully forming the great cycle, they had given him a glimpse of some absolute secrets. That figure, could it be the ancestor of fierce sun? The eternal fierce sun above the heavens? Lin Yuan speculated in his heart, reasoning that he accessed the crimson space through the seeds of the fierce sun, and that these seeds were indeed connected to the ancestor of fierce Sunday. It was natural for Lin Yuan to link the two together. How terrifying! Lin Yuan marveled inwardly. This was the first time he had directly faced a 13th-layer temporal being. The creator of the infinite void was also a 13th-layer temporal being. However, what Lin Yuan saw back then was merely a residual imprint left by the creator, lacking any concrete thoughts. But the figure standing amidst the boundless fierce sun, whether it was the ancestor of fierce sun's authentic form or even just an avatar, gave Lin Yuan an overwhelmingly oppressive presence. In this lifetime, can I truly achieve such a level? Lin Yuan's thoughts expanded. Neither the Moyu Tower Master nor Xianhuang, nor even the creator of the infinite void, had left any method or description for crossing into the 13th layer. A 12th layer being's advance to the 13th layer, compared to an 11th layer being attempting to reach the 12th, was nowhere near as perilous. It wasn't simply a matter of success or death. For a 12th layer being to transcend into the 13th layer, there was simply no fixed method or path. Forget it. First, I'll cultivate to the chaos realm. Lin Yuan consolidated his thoughts. The 13th layer matters were still far too distant. At present, Lin Yuan wasn't even at the chaos realm, nor at the dominator realm, he was merely at the path-splitting realm. The infinite void has been mastered, and the martial Tao has once again reached the peak of the path-splitting realm. As of now, my strength, though not on par with the chaos void's true body, likely is only marginally inferior. While I can't claim the chaos realm, I could easily crush anyone in the dominator realm. Lin Yuan examined himself, making a concrete assessment of his power. If the fierce sun divine body completes its transformation fully, then I might not be weaker than a true body. Lin Yuan speculated to himself. The fierce sun divine body was the strongest physique of the fierce sun ancient country, second to none. Especially within the fierce sun ancient country, it was rumored that when the fierce sun divine body operated to its extreme, it could wield even a minuscule fraction of the eternal fierce sun's power above the heavens. Under such circumstances, even if the chaos void's true body successfully comprehended and replicated the fierce sun divine body, its ability to exert its power could never match Lin Yuan's own. Outside Qingfen City, several figures stood motionlessly in midair. Among them, a violet-haired woman stood as the lead. Senior sister, is it true that the master plans to act against the Qingfen domain? Behind the violet-haired woman was a man who looked ahead toward the majestic Qingfen city in the distance and asked aloud. It is an order from the capital. The master cannot disobey. The violet-haired woman responded. No matter how powerful the great lord might be, they must heed the orders of the ancient country. This was the iron law. Of course, some carefree great lords and heavenly venerates avoided accepting the ancient country's ennoblement, thus forfeiting many benefits and privileges. Such individuals were also free from obligations or constraints. Still, any great lord or heavenly venerate with even a hint of ambition would generally align themselves with one of the major ancient countries. There was no alternative. Within the ancient countries lay the most profound legacies, the most accurate guidance, and the strongest protection. Without affiliating with any ancient country, great lords and heavenly venerates could not foresee a path forward, thus finding progress exceedingly difficult. The capital's orders? The man who had spoken earlier did not inquire further. If it were merely their master's intentions, there might still be room for change, but the capital? What do we need to do? An elderly woman with a hunched back directly queried. It's simple. The master will personally intervene, luring away Lord Qingfen. As for us, we'll infiltrate Qingfen City beforehand. With the master's methods in place, as long as we don't act, even Lord Qingfen won't detect a thing. The violet-haired woman continued, once Lord Qingfen is led away, we will strike without restraint, causing as much chaos within Qingfen City as possible. Then we can use the myriad formation crystal to replicate the formations of Qingfen City. Once back, we'll decipher its weaknesses. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1038 The Terrifying Fierce Sun Divine Body, requesting monthly votes, _2" causing upheaval in Qingfen City is merely a tactic. The ultimate goal is to use the myriad formation crystal to duplicate Qingfen City's formation. The woman with purple hair spoke. Only by preemptively decrypting Qingfen City's formation, waiting for Purple Dream Domain and other major domains to launch a full-scale attack on Qingfen City, can victory be swift and decisive. If not, with Qingfen City's formation operating at full capacity, coupled with the presence of the city's core formation, it would be more than sufficient to resist attacks from 7 or 8, even up to a dozen peak-level great lords of similar rank. The core of the plan is the myriad formation crystal. Such a treasure was granted from the capital, theoretically capable of replicating all formations in existence, and is extremely valuable. Marquee Purple Dream must return it after using it. Once Qingfen City's formation is duplicated successfully, Marquee Purple Dream will immediately invite ancient country formation masters to crack it, then swiftly ally with other domains to wage war. Even if Lord Qingfen realizes something is amiss, it will be too late to react. To change Qingfen City's grand array? That cannot be achieved in a short period of time. However, they could only execute such a maneuver once. After breaching Qingfen City, Fierce Sun Ancient Country's experts would undoubtedly review the incident, easily determining the source of the issue. At that time, measures would certainly be taken to prevent this from happening again. No problem. SAR the Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The few figures behind the purple-haired woman nodded slightly. This mission posed little danger. Lord Qingfen had been drawn away by Marquee Purple Dream, essentially eliminating the greatest threat. As for Lord Qingfen's disciples? Although Lord Qingfen is formidable, he's notoriously neglectful in his disciples' training, resulting in mediocre abilities among his students. Far inferior to them. Even Lord Qingfen's eldest disciple, Feng Wanqing, pales in strength compared to the purple-haired woman. The purple-haired woman's strength had already half-stepped into the realm of the Great Lord. Among the numerous sovereign-level figures in Purple Dream Domain, at least 10 possess strength comparable to Feng Wanqing. I heard that not long ago, Lord Qingfen took in a new disciple. To accept this disciple, he personally left Qingfen City. The hunched elderly woman spoke. This matter wasn't a secret. After accepting Lin Yuan, Lord Qingfen introduced him to his other disciples, a widely spread and celebrated story within Qingfen Domain, a demonstration of a meteoric rise. Initially, the Yu family was merely a second-tier household, but it soared to become one of the most influential families in Qingfen Domain. I've heard that too. Given Lord Qingfen's personality, it's unlikely he would recklessly leave Qingfen City just for a disciple. The man beside her expressed some curiosity. Fierce Sun Ancient Country designs its marquee system specifically to defend their respective domains, and the core of any domain is its domain city, the domain city of Qingfen Domain being Qingfen City. For Lord Qingfen to leave Qingfen City recklessly entails a certain level of risk. If, during that time, an enemy domain launched an assault, Qingfen City would be vulnerable without the suppression of a peak-level Great Lord. Though this scenario is unlikely. Lord Qingfen departed without notifying anyone beforehand, enemy domains wouldn't know and would likely assume he remained within the city. Consequently, such attacks were improbable. Moreover, if Lord Qingfen dared leave, he must have confidence in his ability to return instantaneously. Thus, the risks were minimized. This particular scheme relied on Marquee Purple Dream stalling Lord Qingfen, the act of stalling itself being crucial. Only by keeping Lord Qingfen occupied would they have enough time to employ the myriad formation crystal to replicate Qingfen City's formation. Lord Qingfen is cold-hearted. Under orders from Fierce Sun Ancient Country, he accepted several disciples, but none of them dare call him master. Yet for this newly accepted young disciple, he not only risked leaving Qingfen City but spared no expense in his training. The purple-haired woman slightly shook her head. This disciple named Yu Yan must possess terrifying talent and aptitude, at least far exceeding Feng Wanqing during his prime. Indeed. The others nodded slightly, agreeing inwardly. If it were an ordinary disciple, Lord Qingfen would never go to such lengths. In the future, this individual would undoubtedly become a major calamity for Purple Dream Domain. The purple-haired woman offered her assessment, followed by a shake of her head. However, there will be no future. The moment these words were spoken, the others laughed immediately. Indeed, there will be no future. If this plan succeeds, Qingfen Domain will fall entirely. Even if Lord Qingfen survives, he'll be reduced to being a fugitive, hiding somewhere to lick his wounds. As for the disciples he poured his heart into cultivating, there's hardly a need to worry. No matter how heaven-defying the talent may be, without the luxury of time to grow, not even royal progeny of the ancient countries poses a threat. Even if Yu Yen managed to mature eventually, it would take countless eons. At least in Purple Dream Domain's current scheme, he wouldn't have any role to play. If the duplication of Qingfen City's formation completes smoothly, the capital will send down a precious treasure. The purple-haired woman concluded. Her words aimed to boost morale. An item deemed a precious treasure by the ancient country would be coveted even by great lord-level experts. As for their group of sovereign-level figures, once obtained, even if they couldn't use it themselves, they could trade it with a great lord, exchanging it for resources they desired. Given that it was bestowed by the capital, none would dare attempt to seize it. For these sovereign-level figures, it was reassuring. A precious treasure? The hunched elderly woman and the others exchanged glances, their eyes gleaming heatedly. As it stood, their mission didn't seem hard to complete, with the sole potential risk being whether Lord Qingfen would return early. Still, under the incentive of the capital's precious treasure, with no apparent danger or risk, they instead felt slightly uneasy internally. Qingfen City. Lord Qingfen gazed distantly. In recent days, he had clearly sensed abnormal movements from Purple Dream Domain. However, given Qingfen Domain's antagonistic relationship with Purple Dream Domain, such activity was ordinary. What exactly does Purple Dream intend to do? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1039 The Terrifying Fierce Sun Divine Body, requesting monthly votes? _3 Lord Qingfen vaguely felt something was amiss, but couldn't pinpoint it. Better to make more preparations. Lord Qingfen pondered for a moment, then immediately summoned the disciples. Greetings, Marquis. Feng Wanxing and other sovereign realm cultivators bowed toward Lord Qingfen. Although Lord Qingfen never allowed them to address him as master, the treatment they received was hardly lacking. From now on, if I'm not in Qingfen City and the Purple Dream Domain or other major territories launch an assault, ignore other areas and focus on defending these specific locations. Lord Qingfen immediately listed the core arrays of Qingfen City. In Lord Qingfen's predictions, the worst scenario was being occupied and delayed. Then, the Purple Dream Domain would take advantage to cause chaos and destroy the city's arrays. If he remained in Qingfen City, the Purple Dream Domain wouldn't stand a chance. As for a full-scale invasion of Qingfen City, even if Lord Qingfen were absent from the city, the arrays of Qingfen City would activate automatically upon attack, providing enough support for a long period. Thus, Lord Qingfen speculated that the strong cultivators of the Purple Dream Domain might attempt to infiltrate Qingfen City in advance. However, their numbers would certainly be limited, as Qingfen City had specialized detection formations. If the thickness of life of those entering exceeded a certain threshold, an alarm would be triggered. The so-called thickness of life refers to the power and quantity of an entity. For example, if someone at the level of a great venerable enters, I would immediately sense it. Or if a large number of sovereign realm cultivators invade, I would sense that as well. The strongest entities could use secret techniques to suppress their own aura, hiding their origin and background. But the thickness of life cannot be altered. Should it exceed the critical threshold, I will promptly be aware. Understood. Feng Wanxing and the other disciples responded immediately. Marquis, is the Purple Dream Domain planning something recently? Feng Wanxing probed cautiously. The layout Lord Qingfen was organizing was clearly aimed at the Purple Dream Domain. I am merely making preparations. Whether the Purple Dream Domain takes action or not, we'll see when the time comes. Lord Qingfen replied calmly. Deep down, he even hoped the Purple Dream Domain would make their move. The power of the Purple Dream Great Venerable could barely match Lord Qingfen's level, but if the two clashed, Lord Qingfen would clearly hold the upper hand. Furthermore, Lord Qingfen recently made breakthroughs in secret technique cultivation. If Marquis Purple Dream dared to come, Lord Qingfen was confident he could seriously injure him. With Marquis Purple Dream severely injured, the Qingfen domain could enjoy peace for millions, perhaps tens of millions of years. Dismissed. Lord Qingfen waved his hand. Once all the disciples had retreated, Lord Qingfen sank into contemplation. That disciple of mine has been requesting far too many resources lately. Lord Qingfen rubbed his chin. Lin Yuan was his most valued disciple. Though Lord Qingfen rarely interacted with him publicly, he had been secretly observing him all along. Still, as long as you can bear it, resources are nothing. Go ahead and take them. Lord Qingfen smiled faintly, a hint of anticipation in his heart. Search * The Nellfire. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Inside the sky-burning court, Lin Yuan was observing the changes in his physical body. After condensing 30,000 seeds of the fierce sun, the transformation speed of the fierce sun divine body had skyrocketed. Lin Yuan could perceive the changes in his body and physique every single moment. Every drop of my blood, down to the most microscopic particles, has turned crimson, evolving more intricate patterns. Lin Yuan's expression carried traces of contemplation as those patterns intertwined, significantly strengthening his physical body and even resonating with the most fundamental Dadao principles of heaven and earth. Whether in this origin world or within the chaos void, every cultivator seeks Dadao enlightenment to wield its principles. This act is inherently proactive. Yet the unfinished transformation of the fierce sun divine body now seemed to give Lin Yuan a sense of instinctive resonance with the universal Dadao principles. He didn't need to pursue the Dao naturally came to him. Magnificent. The more Lin Yuan observed, the more he marveled inwardly. Beneath the practice of body refinement secret techniques, Lin Yuan possessed deep foundations and had mastered supreme skills like the Xianhuang physique, a Dao-protecting secret method created through the painstaking effort of a great saint, along with portions of the demonic jade immortal body. However, neither the Xianhuang physique nor the demonic jade immortal body were anything more than methods to refine the physical form, building an indestructible existence. The fierce sun divine body, on the other hand, reconstructed the physical form, fundamentally altering its composition. Up to now, Lin Yuan still wasn't sure whether he remained part of the human race. Of course, the defining attribute of a race wasn't the physical form but the primordial spirit and true spirit, a truth Lin Yuan had long understood during the main universe era of human civilization. Many evolutionists of human civilization in the main universe had chosen to seize unique life forms to enhance their starting points. After seizure, their physical forms might not remain human, yet as long as their true spirit was human, they were still considered human. The fierce sun divine body also has distinctions. The most basic fierce sun divine body is formed from 3,333 seeds of the fierce sun. As the number of condensed seeds of the fierce sun increases, the power of the divine body grows stronger. Lin Yuan thought to himself. These insights were gained from Lin Yuan's meticulous observations of his own body. The transformation process of a fierce sun divine body created from 20,000 seeds of the fierce sun was vastly different from one created with merely 3,000 seeds. This difference wasn't just in transformation speed but also in the details of the composition. Once the fierce sun divine body is fully transformed, everything will become clear. Lin Yuan mused inwardly. While the transformation remained incomplete, much couldn't yet be understood. Time flowed slowly. 5 years passed in the blink of an eye. Rumble. Lin Yuan's physical body finally completed its final transformation. Sitting cross-legged, Lin Yuan carefully sensed the changes in his physique and physical form. At this moment, the most microscopic elements of Lin Yuan's body had completely transformed into particles of flame, with profoundly mysterious patterns etched upon every particle. The patterns intertwined and entangled with each other. Lin Yuan exhaled softly. With the transformation of the fierce sun divine body completed, an abundance of instinctual information flooded into his mind. P.S. Second update. 10,000 words completed. Begging for monthly votes please if you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1040 Chaos, requesting monthly votes. The moment the fierce sun divine body was formed, a torrent of instinctual information surged into Lin Yuan's mind. Lin Yuan's consciousness rapidly absorbed the information. These bits of knowledge stemmed from the divine Bodhi's inherent instincts, much like how a person instinctively knows how to breathe or open their eyes upon birth. This is the fierce sun divine body? Lin Yuan couldn't help but feel a sense of awe in his heart. During the metamorphosis of the divine body earlier, he had already sensed the intimidating nature of this constitution. In addition to the many texts and legacies within the sky-burning court, there were detailed descriptions of the fierce sun divine body. Sia the Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. It was only when his physical body had completely transformed into the fierce sun divine body that Lin Yuan realized he had underestimated it. Too powerful. Lin Yuan raised his right hand. Although it remained flesh and blood, the smallest microcosmic components had already transformed into countless fierce sun particles, marked with deep and mysterious patterns on their surface. Burn everything, devour everything? Lin Yuan carefully felt every intricate detail of the fierce sun divine body. When Lin Yuan condensed the 30,000th seed of the fierce sun, his spirit and will had once entered a crimson space, where he glimpsed what seemed to be the figure of the ancestor of Fierce Sunday. It had countless manifestations. Different beings perceived it in different forms. Similarly, the fierce sun divine body varies among awakened individuals, with each being distinct. Lin Yuan's fierce sun divine body, while maintaining the infinite power of burning, was also endowed with a devouring force. Anything, living or dead, burned to ashes by the divine Bodhi's power could have its origin source directly absorbed. Even space and time could be set ablaze, converting into origin source to replenish Lin Yuan. This devouring and absorption process happens instantaneously. It requires no refining time whatsoever. Simply put, for Lin Yuan at this moment, battles were not an expenditure, they were feasts. This ability, Lin Yuan shook his head slightly. It was truly monstrous, tantamount to a perpetual motion machine, eliminating any concerns of depletion. Consider this, even Chaos Venerables worry about resource exhaustion. Chaos Great Saints manage somewhat better by constantly refining Chaos Chi to sustain themselves. But what if there was no Chaos Chi around? Lin Yuan's fierce sun divine body possessed the ability to burn and devour everything. Chaos Chi, enemy-killing blows, visible and invisible elements, tangible and intangible, all could be burned and devoured. Asterisk Walala. Asterisk at his fingertips, Lin Yuan ignited a tiny flame. The flame burned silently, warping the surrounding space slightly. Cracks began to appear, and Lin Yuan immediately felt streams of warmth flowing into his physical body. So this is the sensation of burning and devouring space? Lin Yuan's expression was thoughtful, and he promptly extinguished the flame. This ability must still be used cautiously. A single misstep could cause massive collapses in time and space, potentially drawing the attention of the upper echelons of the fierce sun ancient country. After all, allowing Lin Yuan to recklessly burn everything might incinerate the entire fierce sun ancient country. Of course, the territory of the ancient country was vast and boundless. Burning and devouring such a massive area would likely take an unimaginable amount of time. Furthermore, the dukes and kings within the country would never stand idly by, let alone the eternal sun that reigns supreme above the heavens. The key point was that the origin source gained through devouring could replenish consumption, heal injuries, but offered little else in utility. My current strength. Lin Yuan let out a long breath. The so-called burning and devouring were merely one of the abilities appended to the fierce sun divine body. After completing its metamorphosis, Lin Yuan's physical strength and vitality had skyrocketed immensely. In direct combat, I shouldn't be weaker than the true forms of beings birthed from the chaos void. If it comes to a prolonged stalemate, I'd ultimately be the one to prevail. Lin Yuan examined himself. The burning and devouring ability of his awakened fierce sun divine body rendered him unmatched in endurance-based battles. Trying to outlast him? Even great saints might not surpass Lin Yuan. Transform into the fierce sun. Transform into the fierce sun. Lin Yuan sensed the intricacies of the divine body. Every strong individual who awakens the fierce sun divine body shares one unifying ability. That is, the transformation into the fierce sun. This serves as the ultimate finishing move of the fierce sun divine body. Once activated, the physical body and essential vitality are completely converted into a miniature fierce Sunday. At that point, one can draw a tiny, insignificant trace of power from the eternal sun that resides above the heavens. Of course, using this ultimate move places an immense burden on the origin source of the fierce sun divine body. Unless it's absolutely necessary, it's best avoided. Once activated, recovering from it could take millions, if not tens of millions, of years. My awakened fierce sun divine body offers far greater physical and vital enhancements compared to other similar bodies. Lin Yuan thought to himself. The fierce sun divine body was known as the strongest divine body within the fierce sun ancient country, with ample documentation describing its properties. Chapter 1041 Chaos. Vote for monthly tickets? _2 It will be very difficult to replicate this kind of physique. Lin Yuan concluded. The solar flame divine physique was extraordinarily complex, down to its most microscopic components. Those flame particles whose surfaces were etched with countless profound and mysterious patterns. See Tichnell Fire. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. To Lin Yuan, such a structure felt as boundless as an entire universe. The solar flame divine physique in its original world was a natural evolution. It required 3,333 seeds of the fierce sun, cycling together to gradually reform the physical body and vitality until, finally, the solar flame divine physique emerged. However, in the chaos void, the seeds of the fierce sun were completely ineffective. To replicate a solar flame divine physique here, one would need to comprehend every microscopic flame particle. Take it slow. Lin Yuan reined in his thoughts. With his against heaven's understanding, unraveling the essence of the solar flame divine physique was indeed difficult but not impossible. Lin Yuan's attempt to comprehend the solar flame divine physique wasn't driven by the desire to replicate it in the chaos void. Rather, he was simply intrigued by the microstructure of its flame particles. Such comprehension could possibly hint at another grand path, one comparable to the 13th tier legacy of the infinite void. Should he achieve such understanding, it would open countless other possibilities. Lin Yuan wouldn't need to confine himself to the solar flame divine physique. He could easily create various physiques equivalent to the solar flame divine physique, achieving unimaginable heights on the path of physical vitality. Qingfen City. A purple-haired woman gathered with other powerful figures of the Purple Dream domain. We finally managed to infiltrate. A gaunt man spoke with a solemn expression. At present, they were inside Qingfen City. If they were discovered, it would mean certain death. Lord Qingfen could obliterate them with a single thought. We used secret treasures to completely conceal our auras. As long as Lord Qingfen doesn't deliberately inspect us, he won't notice. The purple-haired woman's tone was calm. Qingfen City, as the domain city and the core of the Qingfen domain, saw countless powerful beings entering and leaving regularly. How could Lord Qingfen possibly investigate every single entity entering the city? If Qingfen City didn't have a formation specifically designed to detect the thickness and weight of life, it wouldn't have been so difficult for just a handful of us to infiltrate. The purple-haired woman shook her head slightly. At this moment, there were only 12 of them who had infiltrated Qingfen City from the Purple Dream domain. Any more would risk alerting the life detection formation and drawing Lord Qingfen's attention. Life has both thickness and weight. Auras can be concealed, but the thickness and weight of life cannot be hidden. Occasionally, Qingfen City might see the arrival of a dozen sovereign-level beings. That wouldn't be unusual. But if the numbers increased beyond that, it would become suspicious. If 50 or 100 sovereign-level beings were dispatched and the thickness and weight of life in Qingfen City surpassed the vigilance threshold, Lord Qingfen, even if unaware of abnormalities, would conduct a thorough investigation of the city. If such an investigation began, Qingfen City would enter full defensive mode. At that point, with Lord Qingfen on guard, it would be highly uncertain whether Marquis Purple Dream could accomplish their objective. This mission is crucial. Using the myriad formation crystal to replicate all the arrays in Qingfen City can only succeed. It must not fail. The purple-haired woman spoke with solemnity. If such a plan failed, any future attempt to attack the Qingfen domain would come at an unimaginably high cost. And even then it might not succeed. Understood. The others nodded. They were fully aware of the gravity of their task. For this mission, they had even brought the myriad formation crystal, a priceless treasure, to replicate the formation arrays. The myriad formation crystal was forged through the painstaking efforts of a formation master from the ancient nation, and its value was immeasurable. If this plan hadn't involved a strategy of an ancient nation-level magnitude, the myriad formation crystal would not have been used. Senior sister, what's our next move? An elderly, hunched woman turned to the purple-haired woman, asking softly. Wait. The purple-haired woman replied. Wait. The group exchanged glances. Wait for our master to make a move. He will occupy Lord Qingfen, and then we will proceed with the plan. The purple-haired woman's tone remained composed. If Lord Qingfen retained any spare capacity to act, they wouldn't dare to reveal even a hint of their aura, let alone use the myriad formation crystal to replicate the arrays. Understood. The group nodded. Before infiltrating Qingfen City, they had no knowledge of how their plan would unfold. It was only after entering the city that the purple-haired woman informed them of the subsequent steps. Let's hope everything goes smoothly. The purple-haired woman thought silently to herself. If they successfully replicated Qingfen City's arrays, she would earn immense merit. With the ancient nation's rewards, she might even fully step into the level of a great lord. The purple-haired woman was at the peak of sovereign level, with 1 foot already in the realm of great lords. She was acutely aware of the vast gap between a great lord and those below that rank. In fact, all 10+ powerful figures from the Purple Dream domain who had infiltrated were mostly at half-step Great Lord strength. Given the limitation in numbers, the infiltrators were naturally the strongest of those at the sovereign level. Lord Qingfen, who had been meditating in seclusion, abruptly opened his eyes. Not far away, a figure silently coalesced, the silhouette of a woman clad in a purple skirt. Purple Dream. Lord Qingfen gazed at the purple-skirted woman and smiled. Why send only an avatar here? If the purple-skirted woman had descended in her true form, Lord Qingfen wouldn't waste a single word. He would have immediately activated Qingfen City's grand array to suppress her. Capturing a feudal lord from an enemy ancient nation alive would be a monumental achievement. Even if it wasn't possible to capture her alive, killing or severely injuring her would still greatly benefit Lord Qingfen. But unfortunately, Lord Qingfen was acutely aware that the Purple Dream Marquis standing before him was merely an avatar. To me, there's little difference between an avatar and my true form. Marquis Purple Dream's tone was gentle. The path she walked was rooted in soul illusion. She was not proficient in matters of the physical body. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1042 Chaos. Vote for monthly tickets? _3 Even if it's just an incarnation, as long as the mind and will are strong enough, it can still unleash terrifying combat power. Just an incarnation? How much of your mind and will can it contain? How strong can the secret techniques it wields really be? Lord Qingfen scoffed in disbelief. Qingfen, I've spent 30,000 years weaving you a beautiful dream. Why don't you come in and take a look? The voice of the woman with the violet dress overlapped heavily, echoing. Lord Qingfen immediately sensed his consciousness beginning to descend into a haze. This isn't good. Your incarnation contains the origin source of your true self? How could you bear to do this? Lord Qingfen's eyes widened as he struggled to stay awake, resisting the pull into slumber. Meanwhile, layers upon layers of a spatial-temporal maze started to manifest in the surroundings. As his usual retreat for cultivation, it was naturally also the core area of Qingfen City's formation coverage. With a single thought, he could activate the formation's power to protect himself. Purple Dream, you can at most trap me for 100 breaths of time. Lord Qingfen glared at Marquis Purple Dream, even as his mind and will rapidly descended. Before he completely fell into unconsciousness, Lord Qingfen had already transmitted messages to his many disciples and followers. 100 breaths, that's more than enough. Marquis Purple Dream stared at the now slumbering Lord Qingfen. Though the price she paid to trap Lord Qingfen for 100 breaths was not small, her goal was never to kill him. That was impossible. Protected by Qingfen City's grand formation, a mere incarnation, even with 7 or 8 other peak Great Lord-level experts of the same tier, couldn't touch him within 100 breaths, let alone kill him. Besides, even if the current Lord Qingfen was slain, he'd surely have life-preserving mechanisms and would not truly perish. The stakes weren't significant in that sense. Marquis Purple Dream's true strategy lay with the disciples equipped with the myriad formation crystal, who had long infiltrated Qingfen City. With Lord Qingfen's consciousness thrown into slumber, not only the awareness of his true form but even his incarnated avatars, Qingfen City would become leaderless. 100 breaths of time would suffice for the myriad formation crystal to fully replicate the city's formation structures. Before falling completely into slumber, Lord Qingfen had already delivered instructions to his many disciples and subordinates. The Marquis wants us to head immediately to the formation's core areas to guard them? Feng Wanxing and other Dominator-level experts received Lord Qingfen's urgent summons. Though perplexed, they hesitated not for a moment, promptly acting as per the prearranged protocol. Not long before, Lord Qingfen had sensed something amiss. He had already warned Feng Wanxing and the Dominator-level experts that if anything unexpected occurred, they were not to concern themselves with the rest of the city but instead guard the specific formation core zones. In Lord Qingfen's calculations, even under extreme circumstances, such as Marquis Purple Dream making a move, her aim would likely be to sabotage Qingfen City's formation cores. As long as the formation's cores were protected, the grand formation of Qingfen City would remain intact, and the strategies of the Purple Dream domain would naturally collapse on their own. Master said I shouldn't leave? Lin Yuan also received Lord Qingfen's final transmission. His tone was so urgent, something must have gone wrong. Lin Yuan speculated inwardly, glancing outside the sky-burning court. Since Master told me not to leave, I definitely won't step outside. Lin Yuan actively operated the formations surrounding the sky-burning court. Normally, these formations ran in hidden mode, only triggering during emergencies. Taking a prudent approach, Lin Yuan ensured the formations ran at their highest defensive intensity outright. This level of operation consumed significant energy, but after deducing that Lord Qingfen was likely in trouble, Lin Yuan disregarded such costs. Master has successfully stalled Lord Qingfen. The violet-haired woman received word, a hint of delight flashing across her features. This operation by the Purple Dream domain hinged on the critical point, whether Lord Qingfen could be stalled. If he couldn't be held back, then it would all amount to nothing. Their emergence would only mean death. Only 70 breaths left. The violet-haired woman glanced at the other figures behind her. Marquis Purple Dream was confident she could trap Lord Qingfen for over 100 breaths, but they needed to reserve ample time to retreat from Qingfen City. Let's begin. With a sweeping gesture from the violet-haired woman, hundreds of colossal figures materialized. These were all puppets at the pinnacle of Dominator-level strength. Without a trace of life aura, they could evade detection by Qingfen City's formation sensors. Rumble, hundreds of peak Dominator-level puppets began wreaking havoc within Qingfen City, drawing overt attention. Meanwhile, the violet-haired woman and other strongholders concealed themselves, equipped with the myriad formation crystals, and secretly set to replicating Qingfen City's grand formation structures. At one of the formation core zones, the violet-haired woman and her allies appeared. Lord Qingfen's disciples are guarding inside. The violet-haired woman smiled faintly. Truly worthy of being a peak great lord who has fought us in the Purple Dream domain for years. He's thought things through so thoroughly, even predicting our target might be the formation cores within the city. The other strongholders shared knowing grins. Though Lord Qingfen had just been stalled, the disciples had promptly stationed themselves at the formation cores, clearly a precaution prepared in advance. But unfortunately for them, armed with the myriad formation crystal, there was no need to destroy the formation cores. They merely had to replicate them from afar and bring them back to be deciphered by the ancient country formation masters. The effort to directly destroy the formation cores versus secretly replicating them from outside was leagues apart in difficulty. The violet-haired woman and her allies spent just 3 breaths using the myriad formation crystal to replicate this core structure, then quietly vanished. SEA the Novel Fire. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The disciples guarding the formation core remained completely oblivious to the violet-haired woman and her team throughout. Time continued to flow. 20 breaths quickly passed. We've already replicated 6 formation cores. The violet-haired woman was greatly satisfied. Everything had been proceeding smoothly. Hundreds of puppets at the pinnacle of Dominator-level strength were brazenly attracting Qingfen City's attention on the surface. Thus far, their path had encountered no hindrance. Qingfen City had 12 formation core zones in total. They had already replicated 9 within 20 breaths. Time remained comfortably ample. Let's move to the next formation core. The violet-haired woman and her team immediately began rushing toward their next target. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1043, Purple Dream Domain has indeed made a move. Feng Wanxing was stationed at one of the most crucial core formations and immediately noticed the chaos within the city. The uncontrolled actions of those hundreds of peak Dominator realm puppets stirred energy fluctuations so intense, they were hard to ignore. If not for the Marquis orders, instructing us to guard the core formations, just these mere hundreds of puppets? Feng Wanxing shook his head slightly. Hundreds of peak Dominator realm puppets didn't mean much. It was only because the strongest Dominator realm powerhouses of Qingfen City were ordered by Lord Qingfen to guard the core formations. This allowed the puppets to seize the opportunity to rampage across the city. Feng Wanxing understood the reasoning behind Lord Qingfen's decisions. As long as the core formations remained intact, Qingfen City would stand as unshakable as a mountain. The destruction caused by the peak Dominator realm puppets? It barely mattered. SAR the Novel at website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The Marquis must have been held back by Marquis Purple Dream. Feng Wanxing's mind churned with thoughts. With Lord Qingfen's strength, dealing with those puppets would be as easy as snapping his fingers. The only explanation for the lack of action was that Marquis Purple Dream was hindering him. Could Marquis Purple Dream be stalling the Marquis merely to let these puppets run amok? Feng Wanxing pondered deeply, sensing that something was off. Even he didn't care about the destruction caused by the puppets, as the losses to Qingfen City were minimal at best. Although he didn't know what method Marquis Purple Dream was using to forestall the Marquis, it certainly came with a price. Paying a price, just to inflict such trivial, insignificant damage on Qingfen City? I'll wait until the Marquis is free to act before pursuing this matter further. Feng Wanxing decided to set his questions aside until he could speak to Lord Qingfen in person. Right now, all 12 core formations across the city are under strict guard. Feng Wanxing glanced in other directions. So far, the other 11 core formations had not been attacked, and everything remained normal. And then there's Junior Brother. Feng Wanxing turned to look towards sky-burning court again. Junior brother is also staying within the court. Feng Wanxing was acutely aware of Lord Qingfen's regard for Lin Yuan. If junior brother were to encounter any harm during this raid by the Purple Dream domain, Lord Qingfen would undoubtedly fly into an unparalleled rage. But for now, junior brother appeared to be perfectly safe. He had not left Sky-Burning Court. As long as he remained within Sky-Burning Court, there was no need to worry about his safety. The defenses of Sky-Burning Court were unmatched in all of Qingfen City, better protected than any of them, including junior brother himself. As long as the 12 formations remain secure, and junior brother stays unharmed, let these puppets wreak havoc as they please. Feng Wanxing withdrew his gaze from the chaotic city streets. The purple-haired woman and several powerful figures flitted through the void, passing through every corner of Qingfen City. The myriad formation crystal faintly emitted a hazy light, replicating every formation within its range. Only 2 core formations remain. The purple-haired woman felt a surge of delight, and the other powerhouses couldn't hold back their smiles. So far, their movements had gone completely undiscovered. All of Lord Qingfen's Peak Dominator Realm disciples were focused entirely on guarding the core formations, paying no attention to what was happening beyond them. They only needed to approach the core formations slightly, then use the myriad formation crystal to replicate them remotely before retreating with ease. No one would notice a thing. Up ahead is Sky-Burning Court, where Lord Qingfen's most prized disciple is cultivating. At that moment, the thin, wiry man trailing behind the purple-haired woman suddenly spoke. Sky-Burning Court? The purple-haired woman cast a fleeting glance in that direction. Sky-Burning Court was also an important node within the city's grand formations. They'd have to pass through it and let the myriad formation crystal replicate its structures. Swoosh. Soon, the group reached a spot not far from Sky-Burning Court. Buzz buzz buzz. When the purple-haired woman finished replicating the formations around Sky-Burning Court with the myriad formation crystal, she was preparing to leave. The hunched old woman beside her suddenly spoke. Lord Qingfen values this disciple so highly. If we were to kill him, wouldn't that be a major accomplishment for us? These words instantly sparked a glint in the eyes of the others. Lord Qingfen had countless disciples, hundreds of thousands in total, but even someone like Feng Wanxing could only address him as the market. It was clear that even if Feng Wanxing were to fall in battle one day, Lord Qingfen likely wouldn't blink an eye. But Lin Yuan? Not only had Lord Qingfen personally escorted him out of Qingfen City, but he also allowed Lin Yuan to address him as master. Moreover, in recent times, Lord Qingfen had fulfilled nearly all of Lin Yuan's requests, even offering up his normally secluded training grounds, Sky-Burning Court, to him. From this, it was evident just how much Lord Qingfen cherished Lin Yuan. And it also suggested that Lin Yuan's talent and aptitude must be monstrously extraordinary, so much so that someone as exalted as Lord Qingfen, a peak-level great lord, had lost his usual composure. Chapter 1044 Are You the Great Lord? Seeking Monthly Pass. _2 As for whether killing Lin Yuan would incite Lord Qingfen's wrath? The Purple Dream Domain and Qingfen Domain are inherently adversaries. Even if Lin Yuan were spared, would Lord Qingfen possibly let them go? Then let's give it a try. The purple-haired woman considered for a fleeting moment and quickly made her decision. She was also curious to see what qualities a disciple nurtured so meticulously by Lord Qingfen would possess. Since the decision was made to act, the purple-haired woman and her companions wasted no time, appearing instantly in front of the Sky-Burning Court. This Sky-Burning Court is one of Lord Qingfen's retreat spots and a residence for the favored disciple. It's surely protected by a formidable array. We must act swiftly, and if we find that we can't breach the array, depart immediately. The purple-haired woman clearly understood the group's objective: replicate all the arrays within the city. As for killing Lord Qingfen's treasured disciple, that was purely incidental. Success would be ideal, but failure shouldn't interfere with their main task. Understood. The other powerful figures nodded in agreement, sharing her perspective. A mere attempt posed no risk or downside. Inside the sky-burning court, Lin Yuan gazed out beyond. In fact, the moment the purple-haired woman's group employed the myriad formation crystal to replicate the arrays surrounding the sky-burning court, Lin Yuan had already detected their presence. However, adhering to Lord Qingfen's instructions, he had refrained from taking action, continuing his cultivation undisturbed. But now, the group had arrived right outside the sky-burning court. What are they trying to do? Lin Yuan stepped out of the pavilion, still within the protective range of the Great Array. So this is Lord Qingfen's newly accepted disciple? The purple-haired woman spotted Lin Yuan, but without a word, she struck directly. Sia the Nelfer. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. In an instant, a hazy purple force began to envelop the sky-burning court, while other purple dream domain powerhouses unleashed their methods, holding nothing back, aiming to kill Lin Yuan in the shortest possible time. The intelligence regarding Lin Yuan obtained by the purple-haired woman and her companions came from the Yu family. Before apprenticing under Lord Qingfen, Lin Yuan had only reached the 8th layer of cultivation. With their half-step great honor tier of strength, even with the Great Array's protection, as long as even a trace of power seeped through, Lin Yuan would have no chance of survival. Rumble. Terrifying energy crashed toward the sky-burning court. At that moment, an invisible barrier rose around the sky-burning court. The combined attacks of more than 10 half-step great honors were completely intercepted by the barrier, their strikes dissipated soundlessly, vanishing in an instant. A defensive formation of this caliber? The purple-haired woman's expression grew grave, and she immediately abandoned further efforts to strike. She could tell that the defenses of the sky-burning court's great formation were immensely formidable. Forget about their half-step great honor strength. Even a true great honor-level expert wouldn't be able to breach it in a short amount of time. Lord Qingfen truly dotes on this disciple. The other purple dream domain experts couldn't help but marvel. The sky-burning court wasn't even the central node of the array, yet its level of defense likely surpassed the core itself. Was it simply because Lin Yuan resided within? Could it be that Lord Qingfen had specifically adjusted the formation's coverage for this reason? Let's go. Don't waste time here. The purple-haired woman promptly decided to leave. The other purple dream domain powerhouses followed suit. Their strength isn't much after all, huh? From within the sky-burning court, Lin Yuan observed for a while. Watching the power unleashed in the attacks by the purple-haired woman and the others, which had entirely been blocked by the array, he calculated their strength. With this assessment, Lin Yuan's thoughts stirred. A projection of his primordial spirit emerged from his body, moving autonomously out of the sky-burning court's confines, stepping beyond the array's protected zone. Since moving into the sky-burning court, Lin Yuan had been greatly satisfied with the cultivation environment. He had silently watched the havoc the purple-haired woman wrought in Qingfen City. If he wasn't sure of her level of strength, Lin Yuan would naturally be cautious, adhering strictly to Lord Qingfen's advice, staying hidden in the sky-burning court. But now, the strength of the purple-haired woman and her companions? Nothing to fuss over. Lin Yuan immediately thought of resolving the threat they posed to Lord Qingfen. Of course, to exercise caution, Lin Yuan didn't step out in person. Instead, he sent out a projection of his primordial spirit. This way, even if an extreme scenario occurred, such as the purple-haired woman concealing her true strength, or a hidden great honor peak or heavenly venerate-level power lurking in the vicinity unnoticed by Lin Yuan, the worst-case scenario would merely cost him a projection, which he could reconstruct at any time. The purple-haired woman and her companions were just about to leave when they suddenly noticed a figure voluntarily emerging from the sky-burning court. Yu Yan. The purple-haired woman stopped in her tracks, staring at Lin Yuan with a mixture of astonishment. Why wasn't he staying safely hidden in the sky-burning court yet chose to step out voluntarily? You're from the Purple Dream Domain? Lin Yuan looked at the purple-haired woman and her team. Sneaking around here, there's no way this is something good, Attack him directly. The slender man's figure vanished, blending into the space around him. Lin Yuan's voluntary emergence from the sky-burning court had presented him with what he deemed an excellent opportunity. Though he suspected that Yu Yan's willingness to step out might imply a hidden trump card, did he himself not possess cards as well? A purple dream domain expert let out a cold snort. A silent wave of spiritual energy appeared, enveloping Lin Yuan imperceptibly. Not only the slender man spotted an opening, but almost instantly, the rest of the purple dream domain powerhouses acted, intent on giving Lin Yuan no chance to react. The purple dream domain expert who had delivered the soul attack furrowed his brow. Soul attacks are immediate and undetectable, so his was the first to land on Lin Yuan. Yet, the assault yielded no feedback whatsoever, as if it had been swallowed by a swamp, disappearing entirely. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1045. Are you the Great Lord? Seeking monthly pass. What's going on? The expert from the purple dream domain looked uncertain and suspicious. Swish. A series of terrifying attacks roared through space-time toward Lin Yuan, arriving within mere meters of his body in an instant. Why hasn't the defensive formation appeared? The purple-haired woman froze slightly. She had assumed Lin Yuan walked out so confidently because he was still within the defensive formation. But now, their attacks were about to strike Lin Yuan, yet there wasn't the slightest trace of the formation's aura. Is this a clone of that Yu Yan? The hunched old woman glanced at the sky-burning court and speculated in her heart, whether it's a clone or not, he's dead for sure. Whoosh. To Lin Yuan's right, a figure emerged, a gaunt man who extended his right hand to grab Lin Yuan. The purple-haired woman, seeing this, immediately turned away. She didn't need to look to know that Lin Yuan's death was certain. The gaunt man's physical body was reputed to be the strongest under the great lords of the purple dream domain. In the realm of pure physical strength, he could even withstand several blows from a great lord and survive. With the gaunt man this close, even the purple-haired woman felt her scalp tingle, let alone Lin Yuan, who had no chance of survival. Is this the strength you all dared to infiltrate with? Lin Yuan glanced at the gaunt man reaching out to grab him and casually flicked his right hand. Though it was just a primordial spirit that walked out of the sky-burning court, because of the secret technique, illusory reality, the primordial spirit had transformed into a fleshly body. Its combat power wasn't much weaker than his true physical form. Various physical body divine abilities, the 13th level inheritance, infinite void, and even the fierce sun divine body, everything could still be cultivated in spirit form. Buzz, buzz, buzz. With Lin Yuan's casual hand wave, the gaunt man, who had already reached him, suddenly showed a drastic change in expression, turning deathly pale and coughing up several mouthfuls of blood. His body and soul began to collapse until a faint green glow enveloped him and barely stabilized his injuries. He retreated violently backward. This scene left the purple-haired woman and the other purple dream domain experts watching in stunned disbelief. Senior brother Quang Zhen? The purple-haired woman couldn't believe what she had just witnessed. He was severely injured instantly? If not for the tears of life gifted by the master, wouldn't he already be dead? Senior brother Quang Zhen's physical body was unmatched in the purple dream domain. Even a great lord's attack might not kill him. And yet, with a mere flick of Lin Yuan's hand, he had practically already died once. The purple-haired woman couldn't accept this. Even if Lin Yuan had hidden strategies to confidently walk out of the sky-burning court, she had assumed it would involve defensive measures, something, for instance, to evade the gaunt man's attacks. But this? What was this? Rumble. At this moment, the other purple dream domain experts' attacks also descended. However, all of their assaults instantly ignited upon brushing against the edges of Lin Yuan's garments, burning unceasingly until they were completely annihilated. He's a great lord, he's a great lord. Not far away, the gaunt man, senior brother Quang Zhen, transmitted a message to the purple-haired woman and the others without hesitation and fled without looking back. If not for the life-saving treasure, the tears of life, he would have been completely annihilated just now by Lin Yuan's casual hand wave. For someone to casually land a blow that inflicted such devastating damage, there was no explanation other than that Lin Yuan was a great lord. That's why the gaunt man transmitted such a warning. At this moment, only one thought occupied his mind: escape. As for why the youngest disciple of Lord Qingfen would be revealed as a great lord, there simply wasn't time to think about it. A great lord? The purple-haired woman's pupils contracted, and she likewise prepared to flee. Buzz! The surrounding space-time began to condense from all directions, hardening like amber and trapping all the purple dream domain experts within. Trying to run? Lin Yuan stepped forward, appearing behind the gaunt man, and pressed down with his palm. The gaunt man's physical body began to collapse again. This time, without the tears of life to save him, only a wisp of his soul remained, which Lin Yuan suppressed and collected. Swish! Lin Yuan waved his hand once more. Among the remaining dozen or so purple dream domain experts, 9 of their physical bodies instantly ignited and began burning uncontrollably, turning to ashes in the blink of an eye. From the moment Lin Yuan had voluntarily stepped out of the sky-burning court until now, after making only a few moves, more than half of the dozen or so half-step great lords from the purple dream domain had perished, leaving only a few survivors like the purple-haired woman, barely holding on with their life-saving treasures. Even so, the remaining purple dream domain experts who survived couldn't hide their faces of terror. In front of Lin Yuan, they couldn't even talk about resistance, let alone mount a challenge. They were as fragile as ants. Is that the fierce sun divine fire? Which great lord are you? The purple-haired woman looked terrified as she witnessed her fellow disciples being reduced to ashes. The fierce sun divine fire of the fierce sun ancient country could only be wielded by those who had awakened the fierce sun divine body. To fully awaken the fierce sun divine body. Chapter 1046 Is My Disciple the Great Lord? Seeking monthly pass. As long as junior apprentice brother stays within the sky-burning court, relying on the protection of the Great Formation, there shouldn't be any problems. In the blink of an eye, countless thoughts flashed through Feng Wangxing's mind, but his anxiety didn't ease in the slightest. What if the purple dream domain has a way to bypass the Great Formation of the sky-burning court? Or if they manage to lure Lin Yuan out on their own? Too many unforeseen events could occur. Initially, Feng Wanxing had doubts about the purple dream domain's operation this time, expending resources to hold back Lord Qingfen. Only to let a few hundred puppets rampage through the city? That made absolutely no sense. A few hundred peak Dao realm puppets already represent a significant cost. On the battlefield, they could already form a military formation. But in the city? At most, they could only wreak havoc here and there. They couldn't possibly inflict significant damage to Qingfen City. A losing trade. Would the purple dream domain do such a thing? And now, sensing the deep temporal fluctuations coming from the sky-burning court, Feng Wanxing suddenly had more speculations and thoughts. Could it be that the purple dream domain's ultimate target is the junior apprentice brother? Although that possibility was equally unbelievable, Lord Qingfen, of course, valued Lin Yuan highly, but would the purple dream domain really pay such a price for a junior apprentice brother who hadn't even reached the self-Dao realm? Ruan, take over my position. Feng Wangxing's expression turned solemn, and he immediately made a decision. The temporal fluctuations from the direction of the sky-burning court made him far too uneasy. He had to personally go and take a look. As for the Great Formation Core here, the Dao realm-level experts stationed here weren't just Feng Wanxing. There were also other junior brothers. If Feng Wanxing let go, it would indeed weaken the protective strength of this Great Formation Core somewhat, but compared to the junior apprentice brothers' safety, Feng Wanxing leaned toward prioritizing the latter. In the worst-case scenario, it could just be the purple dream domain using a diversionary tactic, and this Great Formation Core might get breached. But Qingfen City had a total of 12 Great Formation Cores. The loss of just one core wouldn't significantly impact the city's defenses. However, if something happened to Lin Yuan, and Lord Qingfen found out afterward, Feng Wanxing didn't even dare to imagine the consequences. Senior brother, you're leaving now? Junior brother Ruan's face visibly changed. He too could sense the temporal fluctuations coming from the direction of the sky-burning court and was growing increasingly anxious. At this moment, Lin Yuan had already fully comprehended the space-time grand array activated by the myriad formation crystal with his against heaven's understanding and acted again. Rumble. Lin Yuan's right hand reached out again, probing deep into the intertwining times and spaces. Great Lord you? The purple-haired woman's heart trembled, but seeing the myriad formation crystal in front of her, she calmed herself slightly. I can't let this drag on. This way Lord Qingfen might free himself from the master's means. By then, if two great lords join forces, along with Qingfen City's array, the purple-haired woman was contemplating this when she abruptly noticed that Lin Yuan's extending right hand had not retracted after entering the space-time grand array, but continued to approach her. The space-time grand array encompassed countless overlapping times and spaces. Even a great lord-level strongman might be trapped in it briefly. But Lin Yuan's reaching right hand passed through the myriad overlapping times and spaces as if they were nothing, and the space-time grand array, centered on the myriad formation crystal, seemed as fragile as paper before Lin Yuan's hand. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. However, to Lord Qingfen's surprise, the group didn't take any action. Even when they approached the core of the formations, they lingered for just a few breaths before quietly leaving. What are they trying to do? Lord Qingfen realized something was amiss. Marquis Purple Dream had spent tens of thousands of years weaving an intricate dream and sacrificed an incarnation containing her true essence, only for her subordinates to roam around Qingfen City aimlessly? Could it be? Lord Qingfen faintly began to form a conjecture. At this moment, the group led by the purple-haired woman arrived in front of the sky-burning court. Unlike before, this time the group did not leave. Instead, they actively began attacking the sky-burning court. A group of dominators daring to lay hands on my disciples? Lord Qingfen sneered, having personally adjusted the formations around the sky-burning court to make it one of the most heavily fortified areas of Qingfen City. With merely a dozen or so peak dominators, Lord Qingfen remained utterly unconcerned. Sure enough, when the group saw the sky-burning court's formidable defenses, they immediately abandoned their efforts. And then, something happened that left Lord Qingfen astonished. The previously safe and secure Lin Yuan within the sky-burning court suddenly walked out voluntarily. This, Lord Qingfen felt puzzled. But what occurred next deeply shook Lord Qingfen to his core. Lin Yuan casually delivered a few slaps, obliterating the group of peak Dominator Realm experts. Then Marquis Purple Dream herself descended with another incarnation, only to be slapped to death by Lin Yuan as well. That was Marquis Purple Dream, a great lord-level being. Even though it was only an incarnation, it was far beyond what Dominator Realm cultivators could contend with. An incarnation of a great lord might not be able to crush certain exceedingly powerful Dominator Realm cultivators, but it should never have been overwhelmed so effortlessly. Time resumed its normal course. Lord Qingfen fell into silence. My disciple is a great lord? Lord Qingfen felt an overwhelming sense of disbelief. This group led by the purple-haired woman, including the great Lord Marquis Purple Dream herself, merely assumed Lord Qingfen had deployed a hidden great lord within the city. But he knew his own situation well. Lord Qingfen truly hadn't done such a thing. Moreover, Lin Yuan was a disciple he had only recently accepted. These were indisputable facts. Lord Qingfen had no reason to lie about this. No. My disciple is not a great lord. Lord Qingfen abruptly snapped out of his thoughts, realizing that the formation designed to detect critical life energy levels in the city had not triggered any warnings. If Lin Yuan truly was a great lord, there was no way such a significant presence would have escaped detection. Not a great lord, yet possessing such power? Lord Qingfen pondered deeply, replaying the earlier scenes again. Yu Chaolong furrowed his brow tightly. Even if Yu Yen had caused some major trouble in Domain City, there was no reason to beat around the bush like this. Young Master Yen has become a great lord. The Yu clan warrior steadied himself, his voice trembling slightly. Upon hearing this, including the Yu clan elders, everyone fell into stunned silence. A great lord? Yen? Are you spouting nonsense? Yu Chaolong immediately reacted. Patriarch, this is absolutely true. Lord Qingfen himself said so, the warrior promptly replied. When he first received the news, he had thought it was a hoax, but after multiple confirmations, especially regarding the calamities in Qingfen City caused by the Purple Dream domain, it became undeniably clear, young Master Yen had indeed become a great lord. I'll go inquire further. The Yu clan elders exchanged glances and immediately reached out to their connections to verify the news from Domain City. Yu Chaolong did the same. After a short while, the elders of the Yu clan opened their eyes, their faces alight with excitement. In truth, even if they didn't inquire, soon enough many factions would proactively contact the Yu clan, eager to inform them and build favorable ties. A great lord. Yu Yen has indeed become a great lord. According to Lord Qingfen, he had discovered Yu Yan's exceptional talent and aptitude a long time ago when he happened to pass by the Yu clan. He then quietly accepted Yu Yen as his disciple. This was kept secret, though, until Yu Yen ascended to the rank of Great Lord. Lord Qingfen himself came personally to take him away. Who would have thought? Yu Yen actually ascended to the rank of Great Lord within the Yu clan? Such hidden brilliance. How could I, an elder, not have noticed? And that Dongyang family, they dared to attempt to assassinate Yu Yen? To assassinate a great lord? Ha! It's fortunate Yu Yen didn't even bother to retaliate at the time. The Yu clan elders were beside themselves with emotion, their excitement uncontainable. They had no reason to doubt the narrative. After all, without Lord Qingfen's covert guidance and cultivation, how could Lin Yuan possibly ascend to the Great Lord realm? My son, he's ascended to the Great Lord realm? Yu Chaolong, too, was overwhelmed with shock. He had expected Yu Yen to perhaps, after countless years of struggle, barely touch the threshold of the Great Lord realm, yet now it had already happened? Yu Yen, Yu Qiling was equally thrilled. At the very least, as a Great Lord, there wouldn't be anyone in the entire Domain City who would dare bully him. Many factions are already preparing to visit our Yu clan, one of the elders remarked. Their purpose, of course, was to pay homage to the newly ascended Great Lord, Yu Yen. Elder, I believe our most urgent task for now, Yu Chaolong interjected, is to reform the atmosphere within our Yu clan. Originally, when Lin Yuan was taken to Domain City by Lord Qingfen, the Yu clan had risen to the ranks of the top-tier families, And Yu Chaolong had begun to sense that some members of the clan were growing increasingly arrogant and reckless. Yu Chaolong had already intended to deal with this sooner or later, but now, with news of Yu Yan's ascension to Great Lord, he decided it couldn't wait any longer. If left unchecked, certain members of the Yu clan might exploit Lin Yuan's reputation to commit all sorts of misdeeds and troubles. Yu Chaolong was acutely self-aware. While he couldn't offer much to help Lin Yuan, he certainly wouldn't allow anyone to drag Lin Yuan down. Naturally, the Yu clan elders nodded in agreement without hesitation. An arrogant and unrestrained clan was certainly not a good thing. Qingfen City. Sky Burning Court. Lin Yuan and Lord Qingfen sat facing each other. So, this Purple Dream Domain, this was their scheme all along. Lord Qingfen looked at the myriad formation crystal in Lin Yuan's hand, a flicker of dread flashing across his face. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. You're tuning into the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.